Like every Isekai protagonist, I got reincarnated after getting hit by a hyperspeed truck. That was an empty and dark life anyway, so I was already looking forward to a decent, unknown afterlife. But the world had a unique thing in mind. In this new world, I had parents, amazing ones at that. My father was a talented mage, and my lovely mother was a sharp and cunning merchant. Ignoring all of my weirdness, they loved me unconditionally. This was the life that anyone would love. Eating and cooking delicious food, practicing archery and magic, and playing with my parents. Everything was wonderful until those demons separated us and it left me in a ferocious forbidden forest, just to be eaten alive by beasts. But dying wasn't even a question. I will go back to them. In a large office room filled with monitors and displays with data charts and different weird numbers. The clock hit 8 o'clock. People started getting up and leaving one by one with tired and happy voices. Everyone that left was either in a group or on their phones and talking with their families through holographic images before them. Sounds of people leaving the large office could be heard throughout the area. The office was becoming quieter as time passed. I also stood up and made my way to the door. Before exiting, I stopped before the office gate. Searching my pocket, I took out a triangle object. It was my precious phone. 8:30 p.m. 12 December 2069. Weather. Cloudy, could rain. Status. Awesome. Now it will be raining. I mumbled and closed the floating display before me. A weird expression appeared on my face. This was some unexpected weather. Oh well, might as well take an umbrella. Before leaving the office building, I took the umbrella from a white vending machine-like robot and stood before the door. Have a nice day. A mechanical voice echoed from the door, and I left the office with a normal, lazy look. Well, no one is waiting for me to return home anyway. Might as well take a walk today. I yawned. I wasn't able to go out for quite a while because of work, but today happened to be a fine day. I started walking through the streets, which were looking more colorful in the cloudy weather. As we lived in a technologically advanced society, I was used to this beautiful sight. Just as I was about to start roaming around the streets, I felt a gentle touch on my left cheek. It was the first drop of rain, gentle and cold. After a minute, the small drops scattered down and turned into a large downpour. I simply opened the umbrella and started walking. The sound of rain could be heard like background music as I walked ahead. The gentle smell of rain entered my nostrils and glamorous lights shone all across the streets. Today seemed a little peaceful as the background music and lighting were complementing each other. This was totally different from the past couple of days. While walking on the platform with a white umbrella in my hand, I stopped at the crossing and waited for the lights to turn green again. After a few seconds, the triangle lights turned green, and I started walking. But suddenly, I lost my senses. The world started spinning and all background sounds started disappearing. The very next moment, everything became cloudy and some panicked voices entered my ears. Hey, someone got hit by that truck. Call the ambulance. Hey, go check up on the driver.
Oi.
Can you hear me? Don't close your eyes and try to remain conscious. Try to breathe. The panicked voices continued, but my consciousness was scattering. I guess today wasn't that peaceful. Never thought I would get involved in the same kind of accident as them. Tears flowed out, but maybe the blood around me was too much for anyone to see that. Something similar had happened with my parents. And after that, my life changed. This was an empty life anyways. I thought letting my body loose, without family or even friends, life was just rolling for me. They say your whole life flashes at the last moments. Maybe this is it. I was only 10 when my parents passed away in a car accident. Then I was raised by my old grandparents. Life was just empty after that day, even though my grandparents were nice. Preschool and grade school were also just like that. Making friends was not that hard, but the thought of someday losing them always flashed through my mind. Then, during my high school days, I played many games that helped me when I was alone. But not even they helped me that much. Then once more, some dreadful day came, and my grandparents passed away, leaving me by myself. Well, through those many years I learned being alone was a way for me to not feel lonely in the future. That's pretty much how my life was. Well, I don't know if I'm angry or thankful for this, but I hope the afterlife will be pretty average. Thinking those lines, I closed my eyes. Death sure is painful. It hurts like hell. The impact of the collision was so great that my insides were almost obliterated. Just when you thought the day was peaceful, well, maybe I will get to live a good life after all this. Maybe it is not really that bad day to die. I lost my consciousness completely, leaving behind a cold, blood-bathed corpse. In a dark room, with a large candle holder, some unknown voices entered my ears. His hairs are like yours, but the shade is golden, like a midday sun. An unknown man's voice that carried great love and gentleness entered my ears after some time. His eyes are exactly like yours, red like a ruby. A gentle voice of a woman could be heard after that. Both sounded extremely happy, which left me more confused. Why do I feel so strange? And what are these people? I tried to recall what happened and tried to move, but I felt extremely powerless. Just like a baby. Wait! I tried to feel my body and hands. A very small and smooth hand entered my vision after turning my head. An earthquake occurred in my eyes. With a long and deep inner sigh, I managed to calm myself. In unexpected situations, we must keep our minds calm. Thinking clearly was always the best course of action. Maybe I can start over? This thought was the first one to appear after a while of thinking. A very cliché scenario, if you want to say, reincarnation. A situation where a soul gets transported to a different body or reborn as a different individual. Looking at my surrounding, I can easily say, this one was a fantasy world. Well, it has to be. A good clean wooden room with a large bed, a fancy table lamp with bright candles on the table by the side, a unique robe by the ceiling, and a study table with an ink pot and glowing feather pen. He is adorable, the young man said with tear-filled eyes. Here, come to Papa. The young-looking person, who I presume is my father, took me from the young and gentle-looking woman and gently embraced me. This was different from the previous gentle and safe embrace. This felt caring, gentle, and protective. My new parents. This thought suddenly crossed my mind and my little self started crying out loudly. This was the cry of relief, a cry that only I could understand. The once-forgotten parental love. This may be the best thing ever happening to me. The memories of my previous life. The memories of the parents and grandparents of that time. The memories of that previous world which felt like a void to me. A needle that was always stuck to my heart. All those thoughts passed by once again. Didn't think it would be this painful, yet good. Maybe I can really live my life and have my family again. While those all thoughts were passing by my mind, the room was starting to get chaotic. Who? Hey baby, why are you crying? I'm your great daddy. Holding the baby me, the father panicked and started to shout. Seeing this, a mischievous smile appeared on my mother's face. My God, honey, it looks like our little baby doesn't like Papa. Mother teasingly said in a quiet voice. The sound of crying continued like the background music. And the father's panicking voice also continued. Hey, please stop crying. Please. The father, which was as gentle as a feather and greatly protective, continued to console the crying baby. Hee. On the other hand, a quiet and happy laughing voice sounded before us. Seeing all of this after calming my overwhelming emotions, I felt something filling the once empty spot inside of me. Looks like the baby is calming down. After a long consoling of the father, the baby stopped crying out loud. But the small cry was still going on. This could not be helped, as the instinctive cry of the baby could not be controlled by the adult soul inside the body. Come here. Let Mama give you a little hug. Saying this, the mother took the baby from the father and gently caressed his head and kissed him on the forehead. Mothers are always amazing. Just being in the embrace of the mother was enough to calm my baby self. The special embrace of the mother is the safest place a baby could feel. See, he likes mom more. Mother said in a teasing tone, smiling at the father. No, he doesn't. Father turned his face to the other side, which was currently red like a rose. Mother and father then started talking, and mother joyfully enjoyed teasing father, while father would always turn and hide his red face from time after time. It feels really good. Maybe because of being alone and always feeling empty inside, I had grown tough like a rock. I thought being cool all the time and always being rational was enough. Maybe I was wrong. This feeling that I thought has lost and won't be able to feel ever again in my life was here again. I don't want to lose this ever again. Well, thinking like this is one thing, but who knows what the future has in store for us. Well, that's enough for today. Mother said in a tired tone and laid me in a small bed next to her and kissed me one last time before going to bed herself. Good night, honey. Father said and got to bed with mother after kissing her on the forehead. Laying on my bed, I was on a train of thoughts once again. The world which I came from was a modern world with highly developed technology. But this one should be different, as this is a fantasy world. Or so what I think. This could very well be the same world, but in the past. Is there magic in this world? A thought suddenly crossed my mind. Magic was quite common in fantasy worlds. Maybe there could be monsters and some bad people who want to take over the world. Would I be some protagonist fighting those people? I would rather not, as I had no interest in playing hero for others that much. Well, whatever it is will be more fun than my previous boring and alone, cold life. But if there really are bad people who are a threat to my family or me, I will have to get strong. Even if this world doesn't have magic and stuff, I will get strong enough to protect at least my family. That would be my goal in this life. If I'm going to live a life, regardless of how it is, would be a happy one with people close to me. With those thoughts in my mind, my eyes started to shut down. I will, in fact, be sleeping like a baby today, after a very long time. The night was quiet and peaceful, just perfect for a good night's sleep. Honey, have you seen Ian? A feared voice of an adult male could be echoed throughout the room. My God, have you lost him again? He must really not like Papa. A gentle voice with mischievousness mixed within them replied to the horrified male. Please don't say it like that. The young man turned around and left the study hall, which was quite large and had a desk filled with many paper bundles. Check out the library again. He will be there. Again, she said with a certain tone, and a worried gasp escaped her mouth. My God. Can he even read at this age? What am I going to do with both of you? The concerned female voice quietly mumbled and resumed the work with a sigh. It has been a year since I was reincarnated in this world and started my new life, which is quite good actually. Maybe better than I ever hoped. My name in this new and, of course, fantasy world with real magic is Axion Cromit. I don't know if it's a genetic thing, but I'm quite cute. With red eyes like crystal and light blonde hair which is like a shining midday sun. I was the personification of a fantasy prince. Well, my parents are quite a unique bunch themselves. My mother, who is a merchant by profession, has long blonde hair, which has a different tone than mine, with brown eyes and a face you would fall for in seconds. But behind that face is a strict and playful person who loves her family but likes to tease her husband. Her name is Nolan Heliox. She is actually from a noble household in the Empire. Well, I don't know much about it, so that's it. As for my father, he is actually a shy type who always turns red when mom is teasing him. He is a handsome man with glossy, shoulder-length black hair and red eyes that are clear and deep. His name is Brian Cromit, and he is a real mage. My father is a former adventurer and intermediate-level magician, which is quite high considering his age. This world has a very generic thing that many games had in my previous life. Status window equals 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 equals. Name Axion Cromit. Age 1. Strength 1. Dexterity 1. Stamina 2. Magic power 3. Intelligence 9. Luck 6. Charm 4. Skill. Energy circulation. Origin skill. Sun's blessing. Equals 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 equals. Everyone in this world has a status window. People of this world call this status window screen. Magicians are the ones who mainly call them status window because of the principles behind this supernatural occurrence. Screen is a visual representation of the body and the potential of one's current self. Screen word came from the quiet sound which could be heard inside one's mind when activating it. Status window also shows the skill that we have or learned. Skills. Just like any other game or fantasy world, this world has skills, which could be obtained through special means. They fall into different categories such as magic skills, skills that usually activate when using a particular energy to move, create or dismantle natural particles and different spells. Enhancing skills, skills that use the energy stored within the body to enhance some aspects of the body which include physical, mental, or magical enhancement. Auxiliary skills, skills that help other skills and are mainly part of individuals. This type of skill could greatly help in the growth of many aspects. All skills require a power source to activate or operate. There are many different types of energies in this world that have different uses and users. They are used in not only magic and martial art but in many more different ways. Some of the most common examples of this natural energy could be 1. Mana is a natural energy that is most commonly used in magic casting and skill use. Mana could be most easy to use and handle in some way compared to others. This is mostly used in the Western continent where I am. 2. Internal energy is naturally condensed energy within the body, and then it is used in different martial art. It could also be gathered and increased through different natural treasures. This is mostly used on the Eastern continent, which is on the opposite side of this continent. 3. Divine power is borrowed powers of the higher beings who were said to be legends or legendary figures. These beings were born from nature or very close to nature. It is mostly used by the priests or the paladins who are associated with different places. 4. Demonic energy is different from any other one as they tend to grow and spread from negative and oppressive emotions, which are a really bad thing for anything inside nature, and they go against the order of nature. Any type of energy could be corrupted if the negative emotions increase extremely. 5. Aura is different than other natural energies. Those who have mastered a weapon to the core or understand them naturally gain the subconscious energy discharge, which they can then master and use in different ways. For moving and using this different type of energies, different conditions have to be met first, like having a mana nucleus to use the mana in the nature or surroundings. Mana nucleus are naturally created in one's body where the mana first naturally gathers inside of body, then gets condensed and creates a base core. The creation of this core is called awakening. Mana nucleus stores the mana which is used in magic or other things such as strengthening the weapon or creating a potion. The natural energy called mana in the surroundings can be moved or molded in different ways by using the mana in the mana nucleus. The proficiency and skills required for that can be learned and used by magicians. After the base mana nucleus comes the affinity and different required knowledge. Mana nucleus divides in different tier. It goes from tier 0, which is mainly basic magic, to tier 12, which are mythical spells of stories. Magicians can use magic at the tier of their mana nucleus, and below that. This means a tier 2 magic spell could only be used by those who have a mana nucleus of tier 2 or higher. Affinity with different elements of nature is also important in spellcasting. This world is a core part of this nature. From the mana to natural beasts, which are commonly known as energy beasts. Other than skills, the status window also shows if the person has a different type of skill called origin skill. Origin skills are different from other skills. Every origin is different than the others. They could have the same function, but none will be exactly the same. That's why we can also call them unique skills. These origin skills are different because they can grow with the person. The level of mastery of a origin corresponds with the overall strength of the individual. The mastery level of the origin goes as basic, beginner, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, upper advanced, master, grandmaster, sage, total mystery. And each level has a different ability which is the same as skills but a bit different. They are like a skill, which can grow 2 more times, meaning it starts from stage 1 and could grow until stage 3. But growing the stage is more difficult than reaching the advanced level. According to this world's fairy tales, it could be summarized that there were few sages who were even able to create legends and make miracles. Those who have achieved master level of control over their origin skill could be counted as some of the most famous people in the world. Grand masters could be counted on a single hand as they like to be secretive and mostly no one knows their whereabouts. Children who have a origin skill, if trained from an early age, could reach advanced level at the very least when they grow older. Even if those who have a origin skill don't try and practice with their skill, it would eventually be helpful for them in one way or another. Reaching the level of a master requires a very high amount of practice and understanding of the origin itself. Those who fully understand what they can and can't do with their origin skills from an early age can grow and learn different ways to use these skills. Beyond the level of a sage is a realm of unknown. No one knows what there is and what things one could do at that level, but people know that there definitely is a realm beyond that. This could also be derived from the old fairy tales and the books read in this world. I'm only 1 year old and I can actually read. Maybe because my intelligence stat is the highest of them. I thought as I looked at myself. Stats are the visual representation of one's own body. If stats go up, the body improves, and if the body improves, the stats go up. So maybe because my soul is grown up, my intelligence stat is corresponding to that. I do like reading. I have pretty much read everything I could get my hands on. And because of my one and only auxiliary skill, my growth speed is actually pretty fast. Well, the energy circulation is pretty much a cheat skill from normal standards. We can't use skills freely without the input of any energy, but because it's a support skill, it can be used for a short time. Perk of being reincarnated, maybe? Well, it's actually very helpful. I can easily circulate the energy inside of my body, and if I use the origin skill, Sun's Blessing, which I think will be a really useful skill, I may be able to create my base mana nucleus and grow a bit faster. I will need quite a long time before I could figure out what my origin skill actually does. All I currently know is it's very helpful, and that's just an instinctive response. In the future, the combination of these two skills will be perfect for my training. Well, that's what I think at least. Ian, here you are, staring at books once again. Father suddenly entered the room and gently picked me up. My baby must like books. That's the signs of a real genius. His voice was filled with love and gentleness, and the words that he spoke carried admiration. What would Mom say if she were here? Well, I wouldn't know that, for now at least. He carried me back to the bedroom, which was pretty difficult to escape from. After putting me in my small bed, he left after kissing my forehead. Well, I think this is it for today. A baby's life. Just sleep, play, and eat. It's good. I could see the outside world from the window. The sun has almost disappeared from the horizon, and the mystic blue moon was making its debut in the hall filled with the starry sky. It's twilight, and it looks very beautiful. Rolling on the bed, I thought about the world I was in. Just like a middle-aged fantast world, this world had kingdoms, empires, neutral domains, and most famous, forbidden domains. I am a normal citizen of the most powerful country on this continent. The Great Roxana Empire, the center of the human domain and one of the most powerful empires of the Western continent. And a place that houses 2 of the 9 forbidden domains. The empire was able to grow so strong was also because of the geographic advantage it has. A natural terrain advantage if you see it from the perspective of the enemy. The empire is situated in the center of a closed space surrounded by a huge magic forest and a mountain range with a great labyrinth. Well, it's not like I will be going into those horrible places. The eastern continent also has other famous places. Holy Kingdom of Rayam and Principality of Lakmir are places that are also famous and has their own forces. But, most importantly, they also have good relations with this empire. Holy Empire is famous for its forces that control divine power. Not only do they have multiple strong religious people, they are also one of the most famous suppliers of potions on the Western continent. The Principality is a neutral nation with famous trade centers, tourist spots, and sea centers. Being a fantasy world, this world has many different races: elves, orcs, dwarves, beast people, and many more. I'm at a border town of the empire. It is between a small kingdom of the east and the main city connecting to the imperial capital. I only have a limited amount of information. Well, what can a baby do? A little baby who isn't even 2 years old. But this world is filled with many miraculous things. Things that one could only read in books and see in games. And my mom and dad tell me a new story every day. Whatever it is, it's very enlightening. Knowing about those past saints and heroes who were unbelievably powerful, my heart beats wildly. Those who had great powers and chose the path to save humanity from the demonic forces were the ones who left behind myths. The great wars fought between good and evil, and the presence of the absolute beings in those stories are amazing. The swords used with aura, which represent one's true self, and high magic, used with mana, an unknown world and the mysteries behind many things. Gaining knowledge is a great hobby honed by many great individuals. And one of those great individuals is the emperor of this great empire. The previous emperor wasn't outstanding in anything particular, but he was the best judge anyone had ever seen. His judgment skills, which not only saw law but also the core of the crime, made outstanding judgments. He knew that his young son will make a better emperor than his older one. There was a constant power struggle between them, but he always supported the current emperor despite the superiority of his older son. At the end of this bloody fight, the current emperor won by doing nothing at all. He just waited and waited until his arrogant older brother dug his own grave. The emperor, who has a sharp mind and foresight, became a war hero who was able to flourish the empire even further. I thought as I rolled around in the bed. Admiring the past is a great thing, but I like the present and my current self the most. The night was getting dark and my eyes were slowly getting heavy. In the middle of the night, with a quiet atmosphere, the sound of the night was heart-calming. "Ian, don't go there." A worried voice rang in the quiet hall. The man was walking behind a crawling baby. "Ian? Ian?" He was tired of calling his son, but he stopped in the middle of it. He saw his son by the bookshelf. He thought he knew what his son was trying to do. "No way? Really?" Thinking that he was right, he quickly ran towards the stairs. Entering a room, he shouted in a desperate voice, "Honey, come downstairs. Quickly. Ian is trying to walk for the first time." His wife, who was reading something sitting on the table, suddenly stood up. Not believing her ears, she started running without thinking. Both of them entered the room their son was in. He was trying to stand up with the support of the shelf. Standing up with much difficulty, he tried to take his first steps, but he fell on his first try. The mother watching this scene felt her heart ache a bit, but she recovered quickly. With a determined look, she looked at her son and shouted with a cheering tone, "Ian, it's okay. Let's try again." But before she could finish her words, Axion started to try again. He stood up and took his first step. This time he didn't fall as he continued to walk forward. 1 step, 2 steps. He walked his 3rd step and was about to fall. But his mother caught him midway. "Wow, Ian, that was awesome. My baby is the best," Dad said with a tearful smile on his face. He looked proud and happy, as well as amazed for some reason. "Ian did a very great job. My baby didn't give up or cry. I'm so proud of you," she said with a proud smile, but there were some teardrops visible if one sees closely. I, on the other hand, was a little amused. I didn't think it was possible, but I tried to walk for the first time. And after trying for the first time, I'm certain that I can walk for at least 9 to 12 steps without falling. I just didn't do it now because I wanted to just test it out. but it looks like everything will be okay as long as I don't overexert myself. This type of growth was not natural as I was still only 1 year old. My only skill is more effective than I thought. I didn't fully expect it, but my mom and dad were happier than I thought them to be. I am actually very lucky to have them as my parents. What would have I done if there were some other people? Well, thinking it isn't even worth it. They are all I would ever need. I also looked at them with loving eyes. Hugging my mom who had just lifted me up, I closed my eyes. I wish everything stays this way, forever. This was a genuine thought from the bottom of my heart. Not everyone gets this much love, and I am very fortunate to have that. He is really special to not even cry or get discouraged even after falling. He also likes books and even looks at them as if really reading. Honey, do you think our Ian is so genius that he can actually already read? My dad asked as he took me from my mom. I would be happy if that were true. But do you even think this little one with gold-like hair and those big eyes even knows what we are talking about? She asked with a smile. It looked like she was thinking about something else, but it wasn't that important to her than this conversation. Okay, I should go to work. See you later. Bye. Bye, Ian. She gave both of us a kiss and left for upstairs. I glanced at Dad, who was a bit surprised as he was caught off guard. Holding me in his hands, we both entered the kitchen. Ian, let's make something special today. Taking out a knife from the drawer, he took out a large piece of meat. Preparing some other ingredients, he stood beside them and looked at me. Now, Ian, would you like to see some magic? He asked with a confident smile on his face. But on his sudden question, my eyes lit up. I was saying yes, and I thought that understood what I was saying. Looking at my sparkling eyes, a wide smile appeared on his face. Smiling, he opened his palm, and in a second a small bright fire appeared on it. I said with shining eyes. This was my first time seeing fire magic, as he never used any unnecessary spells while at home. The reason for it being, "Honey, can you make me something to drink?" I stopped thinking mid-sentence as I heard the footsteps from the other side. At that moment, I knew that something was going to happen. Mom, entering the room, blankly stared at Dad, who was still holding the fireball in his hand. Dad, too, looked at her with a blank and pale face. The smile on my mother's face deepened, and she asked with a calm voice, "Honey, what do you think you are doing?" A cold shiver ran down my dad's spine as he directly bent 90 degrees and loudly said, I am sorry. I was careless. Mom had strictly forbidden Dad to not use dangerous magic when I am around. Whenever that happens, Mom just calmly talks to him, calmly. Well, I pity you, Dad, but thank you to show that spell. It was cool. I waved at him with pitying eyes as they left me in the library, with some different books, and went to their own work. Ian, let's play outside today. Father suddenly called me while I was reading about something interesting. Outside? I asked in a childish tone. Now that I was 3 years old, I could speak things like a baby and talk in some sentences. Yes, let's play in the garden. Father sounded very excited this time for some unknown reason. He has this proud look while looking at me reading the book as always. I still remember the first time. It amazed my parents when they found out that I can read. Though I was 2 years old at that time, it was still surprising for them. Well, they were even thinking that I was a born genius. My father was literally crying rivers, thinking about how I could be a great mage in the future. My father, though handsome and intelligent, is quite a unique person when it comes to me or my mother. He always easily gets teased by my mother and acts shy, like they are a young couple on their first date. The girl is playing jokes around and the boy is flustered just by her words. They actually make a lovely couple. They look like a beautiful painting coming to life, which was painted very carefully and with actual love poured into it. They just don't have that typical role where the wife does the chores and the husband earns money. We have it the other way around. And I love it. Mother takes care of finances and father is very good at other household things. He cleans the whole place with magic, and he is actually a very good cook. We are currently living in a border city, which is not bad but has nothing particularly interesting. I don't know the entire story, but it has something to do with my mother. We have a pretty pleasant house and even have a big backyard. This house is at the edges of the city, so the whole end area is our backyard. Father, being a mage, has shown me some of the safe magic spells many times. I got to learn many new things from watching my father regarding magic, which I didn't even know could be done so easily. But there is only one thing that I don't like about it. He won't teach me anything. I have cutely asked him many times and he was hesitant. It was like he has seen a ghost. Like, come on. What is wrong with a 2 or 3-year child showing interest in learning a cool thing like magic? It's a freaking fantasy world. Well, I was wrong about this one. I realized a crucial thing after a gentle but horrific speech from my mother. Mana Nucleus is a must before I can even go near the caster when the magic spell is being cast. Forget Father. I myself was on the verge of crying at that time when Mom lectured us. My mom can be really scary sometimes. Don't want to get on her bad side. I made a mental note of that great experience and started preparing for a breakthrough. There actually was a way to create Mana Nucleus, but I never thought I could use it with this body. Being a perfectly balanced and condensed mass of a particular type of energy, it can be possible if the person trying to attempt it has a good grasp on their body and the circulation of energy. So I tried gathering the surrounding mana in one place and condensing the small particles together. I never thought my only skill, energy circulation, would be this big of a help. I can pretty much control them and gather them tougher, but there is only one problem with that. The process is very tiring. I can't use my skill for a long time. It may even take some years to create a nucleus and make a breakthrough. And even after that, I can confidently say that I would be the youngest one to have gone through awakening in human history, as it's already rare for more than one person in a normal family to have awakened, and after that choose to be a magician. Well, my goal isn't being a magician. It is a bit different. In the world I came from, there were classes for every game character to choose and advance from. I always chose a class which was not that famous. When I first played a video game in my childhood, I had Archer as a job and I always played with it ever since. Well, being an archer was not that big of a deal. But in some games where magic and physical classes combined, magic archers were unique and loved by people. Well, that world didn't have many great archers, or they don't know the heights one could go to if they can be both a magician and archer. But first, I have to make a mana nucleus to even start with the most basic use of my skills. And we are here. Interrupting my thoughts was the voice of my father. We just reached our big backyard. I looked around the vast field and saw green grass on the ground. There were plants and some gigantic trees in the distance, too. Besides my house was a small flower garden with beautiful flowers. My house is actually pretty outstanding. Being at the edge of the city and maintained with care, this was a gorgeous home. Weather is just right for the fireworks today. Tonight, we might get to see a good show, Father energetically said. Fairwort. Yes, Ian will love it too. My father was looking joyous while mentioning the fireworks. He enthusiastically explained what they are and why they look so beautiful in a clear night sky. We control them with magic, and they are colorful fire explosions that look beautiful in the night sky. Oh, you will understand when you see them. His eyes had a nostalgic look deep within them as he explained that. He picked me up and quietly whispered in my ears. Don't tell Mom about it. It will be a surprise for her. Ok. I finally got what he wanted to do, and I played along with him. Yeah, it will be a surprise. Well, I know Mom will find out, but this will be fun. I will even see some new magic. We played in the garden for some time and got to the house to prepare a pleasant surprise. While waiting for my dad to complete his preparations, I started thinking about the exciting things one could do with magic. Status window equals 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 equals. Name, Axion Cromit. H3. Strength 3. Dexterity 4. Stamina 4. Magic power 5. Intelligence 11. Luck 7. Charm 5. Skills Energy circulation. Origin skill. Sun's blessing. Equals 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 equals. Well, I'm technically still a baby, so I could only read the books and walk around the house. I can walk perfectly now, but the starting part was very difficult. I often crawled out of my bed, sneaking into the library, which is one of my favorite places in my house. I really like reading here. There are many books on the continent, and some of them are about magic too. I have learned about many things like spell ranking system as well as about skills, which were native to this world. Spells and skills are different as the former is learned and the other ones are obtained through many means. Spells can be learned through good tutoring or self-creation, and then used with mana as the energy medium. To use skills, which are either obtained through as skill stones, which can be obtained by killing the energy beasts, with a very low possibly or have from the birth like my skill, one just has to think or say its name. Then it will be triggered automatically, like a pre-saved command. But only the amount of magic power stat could maintain it and our own willpower. Magic power not only refers to the amount of mana, but also the level of control and understanding of the concept of energy itself. Skill stone is a rare thing that is not that common on the market and goes for a good price no matter what type of skill is within it. Energy beasts, when killed, have a very low chance to create a skill stone inside their body. They might also materialize an energy core. These energy cores can be used in many ways like powering a magic device, or in magical research or as a medium when casting a spell. Well, that's pretty much it. But I really want to learn more things and practice my archery skills as soon as I can. This is a tough thing when you are just a baby. Ian. It's time. Let's surprise your mom. Father walked in and interrupted my train of thoughts. Well, it's not always a good thing to think about the distant future. Might as well enjoy the time with my family more. I got down from the bed and responded to my excited father the same way. Yes, Mommy will be surprised. Father picked me up, and we left for Mom's study room. Knock, knock. Honey, Ian came to see you. The door was closed, so Father lightly knocked on the door for Mom to let her know we were here. Oh, Ian must have a complaint about Daddy. Honey, what did you do? Mom said in her usual mischievous tone. And as always, it flustered Dad. What I didn't. I cut him out and said in an excited tone. Though his behavior was usual for me, this wasn't the time to be flustered. Dada and I have a surprise for Mommy. Mom's expression changed to that of curiosity on that. Oh, so that's how it is. She suddenly had an all-knowing look on her face after looking at Dad and me. Yes, we will do Fairwort. My cute face was almost glowing as I exposed our plans. Oh, fireworks, is it? She looked at my father with a smile that was saying something like, "Isn't that dangerous?" But Father had that reassuring look that was saying something like, "It's okay." This time Father had a reliable look, totally different from many times he was with Mom. "Okay, let's go," Father said excitedly, and Mom sighed with a smile. "Okay, I'm starting now." Father shouted from a distance and started preparing for his magic spell before creating 2 transparent shields of a different colors. He looks excited. As always. My mother also had the same nostalgic look in her eyes like my dad. There is definitely a story behind this. But I will just wait for them to tell me, I thought, looking at her sweet smile. It was a lovely and quiet night. There weren't many houses around our house, so almost no one could see it. Shing. Boom. The sky was lit up with beautiful shapes and colors. There were even names of Mom and mine. It is breathtaking. I really loved this entire show, which could not go very long, unfortunately. So, how was it? Father walked towards us and sat down next to Mom, putting me on his lap. Just like the first time. Marvelous. Mother praised in a calm voice, still looking towards the sky where the fireworks went out. Thanks, Father said, and just sat there. Mother then rested her head on his shoulder without saying anything. Well, might as well go to sleep. The day was delightful and I got to see some very exciting things. I thought as I closed my eyes. There was just the sound of blowing wind and nothing else as the 3 of us sat in the large backyard. There are different types of energies in this world. We mostly use them as a source or medium when casting a magic spell or enhancing the body or weapon. We have to channel the mana inside of the mana nucleus to move the ambient mana in nature and use it to channel different spells. We believe the creation of a mana nucleus to be random, and mostly children between 10 to 13 years materialize their base mana nucleus and go through awakening. After that, we can test which element they have a natural affinity for. To use the magic spells, we have to learn how to control the precise amount of mana, the output of mana, and the knowledge required to cast the spell. Imagination also plays a big role in the casting process. These were some things that I have learned during the last few months, and I was just telling Mom and Dad to impress them. Well, not exactly. I had an ulterior motive. Wow. Ahem. Okay, good enough. Daddy had a shocked look that was saying something like, "Am I dreaming? Looks like things will be going smooth dash." Just then, my mom's eyes met mine. She had this all-knowing and unbelieving look in those light brown eyes. With a fake cough, she smiled and said in a calm voice, "Don't even think about it." That was a straight-out warning. But Dad didn't get what was going on between the two of us. She caught me, again. I thought just by saying some sweet things like this would be good enough to impress them and make Dad at least show me some new magic spells. This must be why she is called Mother. She could just tell what was going through my mind every single time. This definitely wasn't the first time. Don't know how long this time's lecture would be. Sorry. Lowering my head, I apologized. Ha! A pitted sigh escaped from my mom's mouth just after that. "Honey, please give us a minute alone," Mom asked with her normal smiling face. "HM? Is something wrong?" Dad asked, coming back to reality. Dad couldn't get what was going on between the mother-son duo. He was lost in his own thoughts all this time. "No, nothing like that. Ian and I need to have a good, long, heart-to-heart secret conversation." This time, Mom said the last part silently, like she was whispering in his ears. This definitely was one of those teasing pranks of hers. A secret? What secret? "I'm not going anywhere. I won't go." Dad had his usual flustered face, but this time he had eyes that were telling that he somewhat had an idea of the situation. "Baby, pretty please?" Mom had a pitiful expression that was saying something like, "Very good." I could never get bored watching them like this. This show was definitely satisfying any time I watch. "Oh, okay. I will go and wait outside," Dad hesitatingly said and bent down towards me and whispered in my ears. "You have to tell me about it later." "Okay. I will tell you later," I exclaimed with a small smile on my face. "Honey." Mom had a chilly atmosphere around her this time. Well, Dad wasn't that ignorant to not tell what was going to happen next. "Ooh, okay. I'm going out." Dad stood up and walked towards the door. "No eavesdropping, punto." Mom reminded him one last time. "Okay," Dad said in a defeated voice before closing the door. "Mom, I was just..." Even though I have technically lived a longer life than Mom, I can't speak properly in front of her in situations like this. I even have promised myself to not go on her bad side, but to think that even being 4 years old is not enough to even see some different, cool magic spells. "Ian, baby, why do something like this when you know I will not allow it? I know I am one of the luckiest people on earth for having such a brilliant child, but there are things you can't do if I say not to," Mom said with a mix of emotions like love, pity, and amazement. "But I just want to see," I said in a low and defeated voice. "That's not the case. You have to understand some things are for parents to teach their child, and some for them to prevent them from doing," she replied in a very stern voice. "I very well know about his prowess. Who else could read, write, and learn anything thrown at them? My baby is the best in that regard. But I can't let him be in danger if something unexpected happens. I would blindly believe in Brian, but not in this 4-year-old who doesn't have any idea of the outside world and practical knowledge of it. If he becomes a mage at a young age, we won't be able to have his precious childhood. It's a relief that he won't be going through awakening anytime soon. Mom! She snapped out of her thoughts at my voice. Ahem. Yes, so all I was saying is that I prohibit you from asking anything else on the topic of magic until you can go through the awakening in the future. And even after that, the final say will be mine. Do you understand? And Mom said in a very authoritative manner which was more like an order. Yes. I unconsciously exclaimed that loudly, like a soldier answering the captain's call. Do you have anything else you would like to say? After her long lecture on the prohibiting things such as magic, she asked with her normal playful smile. Mom, well, you see, I was hesitant about this part which I was going to discuss with Mother after some time, but the time and place are almost perfect. But her expression was happier for some reason. Oh my, he looks so cute when he is like this. Just like his father. That expression and hesitating voice. My day is a pretty nice Her train of thoughts was on a different track than mine. I want to bow. I finally asked with much hesitation. This was my way of improving physical stats rather than intelligence, which was based on knowledge, comprehensive abilities, and self-awareness. That's it. My mom had this very confused expression, which was suddenly transformed from her happy, smiling face. Is he not thinking of being a mage like his father? No, that's not it. He has almost read all books in the library related to magic. This is an unbelievable achievement for a 4-year-old, but what could a bow do? If it was a sword, I wouldn't allow it anyway. But a wooden bow could be fine. But still, what could be the reason? Is he planning on hunting something? Mom now suddenly had a worried expression on her face. But she then calmed herself down. Looking at me with shock and amazement-filled eyes, she asked, And why does my sweet little baby want a bow? Do you want to become an archer? Her voice was calming and sweet, and she also had a curious expression in her eyes. Yes, I want to shoot arrows and use magic. I honestly answered her with a determined look in her eyes. Why a bow? Isn't a sword better? She asked with a cheerful face after seeing the determined look in my eyes. No. With a bow, I will be far away from the target. Just like in magic, if the opponent is close, the casting time and process could be interrupted. But we can just protect ourselves with magic and attack from a distance with a bow. After saying that, I looked at my mother and suddenly got confused. Did I say something wrong? Mom had many mixed emotions on her face. Some of them were amazement, pity, confusion, and pride. On the other hand, Nolan's mind was a mess. Wow, just amazing. I never thought my little baby was such a genius. He actually knows things like this. He will definitely be a great person in the future. But how does he know so many things? Is Brian teaching him some weird things behind my back? No, that can't be. Then he definitely must have read these things from some book. It's really amazing how a little 4-year-old child could learn so many things. I'm very proud of you, my cute little Ian. But I can't give him any dangerous weapons just yet. Even if it's just a bow and some arrows. Who? She exhaled a deep breath and returned to her normal cheerful self. Okay. But you will only have it on your 5th birthday as one of your presents, she said as she stood from her chair and came close to me. Really? Thanks, Mom. You are the best. I ran towards her and picking me up, she lifted me in the air and then kissed me on the cheeks. Yes, Mom is the best, she said with a joyful and proud expression. Yes, now I can start my physical training. It will definitely be fun. Just then, we heard a knocking on the door. Knock, knock. If your conversation is over, then please come down. The dinner is ready. It was Dad, and it was already nighttime. He sounds sad about something. Is it because of Mom saying that it's a secret? Well, it's normal anyway. Yes. We will be there in a minute, honey. Mom answered and looked at me. It's a secret, okay? She asked with a somewhat loud voice so that Dad could hear her voice outside the door. Yes. I won't even tell Daddy. I played along with her. It was fun to tease Dad like my mom sometimes. Okie. Just come whenever you are done, Dad loudly shouted and left with heavy steps that could be heard from start to end. Mom and I were holding our laughter, but our eyes suddenly met and we laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. After some time, controlling herself, Mom asked in a quiet voice, "Let's go. Can't have Daddy wait for too long, right?" Yes. After that, we left for dinner. But the whole time we were eating, Dad was just peeking at the two of us to know something about our secret conversation. Status window equals 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 equals. Name, Axion Cromit. Age, 4. Strength, 5. Dexterity, 6. Stamina, 5. Magic power, 6. Intelligence, 14. Luck, 9. Charm, 7. Skills, energy circulation. Origin skill, Sun's blessing. Equals 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 equals. Okay then, should I start with physical training? After my talk with Mom last time, I decided to start training my body. I had to separate the energy circulation training and my physical body training time. So I decided to just have the physical training in the morning and the other one at night. Today's morning was beautiful. The sun was rising on the horizon. Standing in my backyard with my eyes closed, I felt nature. The birds were chirping. The faint smell of flowers was good. And the beautiful scene of the morning was warm. I slowly started walking and increased my speed. I did some light exercise and then took a brief break to pull myself together. Well, can't do everything at once. I'm still a little child physically. This body can't even handle this much.
I'm sweating bullets.
Just from this, I sat down on the grass field. I could hear my deep breaths. I was just sitting down, taking deep breaths, when I suddenly heard a shocked voice which was closing in astonishingly fast. "Ian, what happened to you? Why are you sweating so much?" It was Dad, and he had shocked eyes. His face was pale like he had seen a ghost. "It's nothing, Dad. I was just running around in the backyard," I said after calming my breathing. But Dad had a unique look on his face. "Look at yourself. Why would you do something like that in the first place?" He was trying to calm himself down. It was his first time seeing his son drenched in sweat. After some time of calming himself down and thinking for some time, he opened his mouth and said in a calm voice, "Were you doing some kind of training?" His words were on the spot. My dad really is smart. I hesitated for a moment before answering his question. You could say that. And why would you do that?" he asked with a calm voice. Today he seemed somewhat different. Did he feel more reliable? "I want to practice archery. Mom said she would give me a bow on my birthday, so I was just training, or something like that," I vaguely answered with a confident tone. My eyes were sparkling just thinking about my training. But I had to be more physically fit for that. Many thoughts were passing through my mind in that short amount of time. On the other hand, Dad was thinking about something else. He is into archery now? Why all of a sudden? Well, that's kind of gay. My little baby holding a bow and arrow in his small hands. That would be so adorable. And he is training for that? He really is my little baby genius. I thought he would want to learn magic from me in the future, but I guess he also wants to be an archer. That's outstanding. Wait, maybe. He suddenly looked at me with admiration and anticipation-filled eyes. He asked in a very quiet voice after looking at me for some time. This sudden change in his emotions gave me goosebumps. "Have you perhaps read about magic archers? People who practice both magic and archery? They are some of the people who are experienced in both physical jobs like swordsmanship, spearmanship, archery, and magic. They use them tougher to create better results. I haven't seen one in a while." He paused for a second, looked at me, and asked in a very stern voice, "Are you trying to become something like that if you awaken in the future?" His eyes had an anticipating look that was saying something like, "When did my little baby grow up this much?" I thought for a moment about what to answer. When I was telling Mom, I thought she wouldn't know about this, so I didn't think about it. But after hearing what Dad said, it must be rare to have mastery in two fields. Though rare, it's likely that one could find one such person in every few 100,000 people. And from what I know, the Imperial University has some such individuals, and there may be classes for that too, right? Well, I never thought Dad would catch up on it that quickly. On the other hand, this could be a good thing. I thought for some time and whispered in my dad's ears. Dad, you are right. I do want to become a magic archer, but we have to keep it a secret from Mom. Otherwise, you can also think of the dire consequences. Telling Dad was the right thing to do. He has been an adventurer in the past, to my knowledge. He could help me more than Mom in this regard. He would be a great help to me in the future, too. But one thing is true in all this, and that, obviously, is Mom. If she finds out what we are talking about, we might as well prepare for a day-long lecture. Yes, you are right. This will definitely be our secret. But why do you suddenly want to become a magic archer? Clearing his grim expression, he asked to satisfy his curiosity. Not every 4-year-old kid has dreams like this. We are talking about a very tough profession here. Because it's cool. My answer was immediate. That's right. It's very cool. That was my initial reaction of mine when I started playing games in my previous life. It was fun. Just think about magic being used with a bow. Firing magic arrows with different spells and effects. This was what I had the most fun doing. Yes, that is indeed cool. But have in mind that it will be quite difficult, even for you, and I won't help you if you overwork yourself. Ever. A kid should play around, not train at such a young age. He looked proud for some reason.
Okay.
So, from tomorrow, I will be your partner in training, he joyfully said. He looked happy that his son was really an incredible individual. But he also had some concern in his eyes. Will he really be my little baby for long? He has grown up so fast, and I don't want my little baby to grow up faster. But I have to help him if he wants that. I am his dad, after all. Okay, so let's go in and wash you up, he said with his usual joyful smile. Yes, saying that we got in the house and started our usual work after the cleanup. Late at night, I secretly exited my room and got to the backyard. I sat on the ground with my legs crossed. Mana in nature is always in the form of particles. These mana particles are scattered everywhere with an uncertain amount or density. Some places have high mana density and some places are filled with a different type of energies, which work like mana for discrete entities. Different creatures can absorb mana in nature, which is in particle form, and circulate it in their bodies. By gathering this ambient mana in one place, which is mostly at the center of the body or at the solar plexus for humans, and refining it, they can create the mana nucleus. This method is probably unknown to the people of this world. Took me weeks to figure out this thing. In reality, one can't circulate the mana in nature, which is in particle form before their awakening, freely without any outside assistance. I'm lucky I have the energy circulation skill. I found out from my previous training that I just have to imagine the mana particles in the surroundings and gather them one by one with an invisible hand to the center. I have been training for my mana nucleus creation ever since I was only 2 years old. I had difficulty when I started with my theory, but as time passed, I was able to do it efficiently. I think it will take at least a year for it to complete. I will be having physical training from tomorrow with Dad maybe. So the time for the nucleus to complete had to be delayed. Well, that is a good thing if I say so. I am having fun as a baby, so why would I want to grow up that fast? Slow and sturdy growth is enough. It's not like I'm a protagonist of some novel. I can have my fun playing around. I slowly started gathering the mana particles together. Time went by and my clothes were drenched with sweat when I was done for the day.
Ok.
That should be good enough for the day. Let's wrap up everything and get going. I stood up and got ready to enter the house. I looked around and quietly entered the house and then into my room. After washing up and sorting my thoughts, I lay in my bed and started thinking about the near future. Life isn't that bad if I think about it. I would like to be like this forever, if possible. But even after thinking like that, I wasn't sure myself. I had lived a life and it was always full of uncertainties. But those things aren't for a 4-year-old kid to think about. After thinking everything through, I closed my eyes and quietly slept for the day. The next morning was unexpectedly normal. Dad just got up with me and helped me with my physical training. Well, I could not do as much as I did yesterday, but it was pretty decent. The next some days went the same way and my night progress was constant. Just like that, the days passed by and my progress was good. And then, the day of me getting my first bow came. That was going a step closer to my goal. After some months of training, my stats have gone up quite a bit. I just exercised most of the time. There was nothing special other than Mom's lectures from time to time. Dad was a good training partner because sometimes I can convince him to keep going after the normal training, and having him around makes things easier, and most of all, it feels safe and comfortable around him every time. This could be what it means to be a parent. We feel safe around them. We know they have got our backs so that we can push forward. That was a good time. But I will be having a change in the training schedule from some days from now on. Because it's my birthday tomorrow. Well, I know I'm an adult on the inside, but I'm still a child on the outside. And I haven't celebrated my birthday in my previous life since my parents passed away. It was always different after my reincarnation. My parents are crazy about birthdays, for some reason. Not only myself, but they give surprise to each other in different ways every time. But something was different this time. I can't see anything special going on in my house. They both are acting really good this time. If I didn't notice the subtle changes, I can't even tell that they have prepared that many things. But I have to be more careful that they don't notice that I have noticed many things here and there. I can understand Mom, but Dad too is quite good at acting. And they are not even considering that I am just a 5-year-old kid. I sighed. Well, I can just do my best and let this surprise be a surprise. Honey, do you think Ian has noticed? I asked in a quiet tone that only Nolan could hear. You think so too? She asked with a bright smile on her face. Why are you so happy? Isn't this a problem? I was quite confused. Her reaction to this was surprisingly cheerful. Because he is my son, she replied with a more cheery voice than before. She had a proud look in her eyes when she said that. Yes, you are right. He is my son too. But still, we did everything with more care than ever. I sometimes think, just how smart is he? He might become a high-level mage or maybe an elder if he awaken. I mumbled to myself in a very quiet voice. But I suddenly felt chills on his back and turned my head around, only to find out Nolan smiling at me. Shit, I said that last part out loud. I know from my years of experience with her that she loves Ian more than her own life, maybe more than myself. That's what a mother is, after all. But I'm in for a good long lecture. But contrary to my expectation, the words coming out of her mouth were different. Yes, he will definitely be an exceptional individual. But we can't decide what he wants to be. We can only guide and protect him. She had a rare, sad look on her face. Anyone could tell how worried she was just from looking at her. Don't worry. I know we will be there for him. I patted her head with a reassuring smile on my face. If you say so, but I can't help worrying about that. So, why don't we add something a little special to the birthday gifts? She looked up with a refreshed expression on her face. Ok. Just tell me and it will be done. She grabbed my arm and pulled me close and whispered in my ear. You can do it right, honey? She asked after asking what I had to do. It is difficult, but I will definitely get it done before the party. I replied with a confident smile on my face. I really like this idea. She will also be a little less concerned after that. Thank you very much, honey. She hugged me softly and kissed me and left without saying anything else. Jis. Thank you too. I was red as a tomato after that. The day passed, and I got to bed. There is a party. Some gifts. I know some, but I don't know about everything, as I stopped myself from paying any more attention with great difficulty. Well, surprises are meant to be unknown to the person who is on the receiving end. I quietly closed my eyes and went to sleep. Next day, I got up and washed up before going to my usual morning training. Dad was ready as well, with his normal cheerful look. We started our daily routine after some nice little chat. But today, Mom was watching us from the window on the second floor. I just pretended to have forgotten about today. He is good. More than I expected. I thought as Dad and I were on our daily routine. On the other hand, Mom and Dad had the same kind of thoughts. He can become one of the best merchants already. He is really good at acting, just like his mom. Brian thought as they were in the middle of running. My baby definitely got that one from me. Oh my, how cute. Nolan thought as she was watching the father-son duo with a bright expression. I looked at them from time to time and came to a conclusion of my own. They know that I know that they know. So, you would ask, why do this in the first place? The answer is very straight and simple. It's fun. This whole situation is fun to watch. Not only for me but for them as well. Who doesn't like when they know the other party is just acting to let the other party's plans work out? It's quite hilarious. Dad and I were sitting on the ground for a break. I looked slowly at Dad, who then looked at me. I then slowly looked at Mom, who was on the second floor. Dad followed my line of sight. We were silent for quite some time with an awkward silence between us. Ha ha ha. The first one to break the silence was Dad, who seemed to can't take it anymore. I followed after him and started laughing. Have you two finished with your laughing session? If you have, then come in and wash up. We still have many things to prepare, Mom shouted while holding back her laughter. She quietly turned around and closed the window. Hoo-hoo. We then heard her laughing sound slowly fading. We were sitting on the grass-filled ground and laughing loudly for some time before standing up and heading in. We had to, otherwise Mom will come to retrieve us. Happy birthday, Ian. Dad shouted in a loud and happy voice. Happy birthday, baby. Mom chuckled with a bright smile on her face. Thank you. I thanked them with a smile on my face as well. So why don't we go ahead and eat first? Mom suggested with some plates in her hand. Yes, I prepared everything everyone likes. You will love it, Dad claimed and arranged all the dishes with magic. Everything flew up and automatically decorated itself on the table. There were soups, steaks, some juices, and a chocolate cake, which is my favorite. Thanks, Dad, I exclaimed and jumped on my chair quickly. Mom watched me with love, admiration, and happiness in her eyes. Dad was watching Mom and me from the aside. Then he too joined me. Mom followed Dad and sat down in her chair. We ate in a lovely atmosphere and laughed. With a bright light coming from the lamp above us, we finished our lovely dinner. After cleanup, we walked into the dimly lit living room. How was dinner? You like it, right? Dad asked with a proud expression on his face. No, I didn't like it, I answered, shaking my head. What? Was there any problem with it? I made everything with extra care, Dad exclaimed multiple times with a shocked expression. Mom on the other side shook her head in disappointment. Dad's complexion turned pale instantly. The transition from going happy to shocked was hilarious. Dad, don't worry. It was so good that we loved it. You are the best. I stopped the joke and tried to calm him down. Really? He asked with a shaking voice and almost tear-filled eyes. Of course. How could you ever make a mistake in cooking? We are just joking, honey. Mom answered instead of me. I also shook my head, agreeing with Mom. Okay then. If you say so, he replied in a calm tone. Okay then. Who's ready for gifts? Mom shouted with an excited look. Yes, I exclaimed with joy. This one is from Mommy. Mom handed me a long wooden box. I knew what it was instantly. I opened the box in a hurry with an anticipation-filled heart. It looks awesome, I shouted internally. There was a handcrafted wooden bow. It was a green-colored bow and the strong-looking string was sparkling. Anyone could tell that this was a finely crafted weapon. Thank you very much, Mom. You are the best, I exclaimed with a fulfilled heart. Receiving gifts like this is always heartwarming, even if you are an adult or know about it already. Oh, I'm the best? Did you hear that, honey? Mom said teasingly. But Father, instead of turning red, took out a small box. Really? Then you will change your mind after seeing this. he declared in a confident voice and opened the small box. There were 2 identical-looking rings. "Oh, honey? Are you asking Ian for marriage?" Mom asked in her usual teasing voice again, but there was admiration and anticipation in her eyes.
No.
"It's for you and Ian," he quickly said again with a chaotic look. "Oh, so you did complete that task. Then, isn't that also a gift from me?" Mom asked with a bright and proud look in her eyes. "It's from both of us," he replied instantly.
Okay.
"Okay." She took 1 ring and put it on my small finger and another one on her left index finger. "These rings will tell if the other one is in a dangerous situation. If it blinks red, then it will mean that the other one is in a very dangerous situation." Dad explained, but he didn't say everything. "It will turn red if the other one's life signal stops. But that situation won't come. I won't let that happen." He inwardly said that and looked at his wife. She had a radiant look on her face but had sharp eyes. "Thank you. I like this one too, Dad," I exclaimed with a bright smile on my face. "With this, I will be able to protect Mom in the future." "Okay then, let's open the other ones too," Mom said, returning to her calm and cheerful self again. We spent the night chatting about the books and other stuff that I received. It was a pretty fun night, but my attention was on the bow in my hands the whole time. I will be practicing handling a proper bow for the first time. Will definitely be exciting. Standing on the short grass-filled ground in the backyard, I looked towards the red-white target with a round shape in front of me, taking out a wooden arrow from the quiver and pulled the tight bowstring. I focused my eyes on the target. Even a slight moment might result in a miss. I focused on the target and held my breath for a couple of seconds. After confirming everything, I released the arrow. Thud! The arrow hit the target slightly off the center, which was an excellent shot. I released the breath, which I was holding for quite a long time now. "Good one, Ian," Dad shouted from the sides. "Nice one, baby." Mom also cheered me from the balcony. "He has improved this much in just a week. That's really impressive," she thought as she looked down at him from the balcony with a proud look. "Okay, now next, let's try multiple arrow shooting." I smiled brightly and picked up my bow. I never thought I had a talent for archery in real life. Though I have always played games in Archer or similar class, I never tried that in real life. Maybe my previous life's gaming experience played a role, but I learned the real thing pretty fast. Archery in this world is not only about shooting an arrow but about the understanding of the weapon and the techniques or arts. The technique of shooting multiple arrows at the same time or shooting many arrows at a very fast speed is mostly used by experienced archers. But most of those things are very difficult to do in reality. You can't shoot 20 arrows at the same time without any knowledge of how to do that. Practice and understanding of the concept are very important in this field of weaponry. But I was able to learn how to fire 3 arrows at the same time after training to hold the arrow for some time. I took out 3 arrows from my back at the same time. Holding 3 of them in my gloved hands between the fingers, I pulled the bowstring. "Good luck, Ian. You can do it." Dad and Mom cheered with anticipation in their eyes. I looked toward the 3 lined-up targets at the front. I fixed my eyes on the center of each target one by one. This was my first time practicing with 3 arrows while Mom and Dad watching, so I was a bit nervous. I took a deep breath and stood in the position. Here goes nothing. Swish, thud, thud, swish. I released the bowstring, and the arrows shot forward in unity. But one was on the target just slightly away from the center like before. One was on the corner of the target. And the last one just brushed past the target and flew backward. "It's okay. That was also amazing," Dad instantly exclaimed, thinking that I was disappointed. "Keep it up. You can do it this time," Mom shouted with a cheerful voice. "It's already impressive that he can shoot all 3 of them at once," she thought, looking at the targets and the arrows. But instead of listening to them, I took out the next batch of arrows. I will have to take wind current, direction, and the other factors more seriously. There are sometimes many factors you have to consider with a projectile. I need more practice anyway. I got in the position and repeated the previous process. This time, thud, swish, thud. The middle one got missed and the last one stuck to the edge of the target. But it did not disappoint me at all. I sharply focused my eyes on the targets only. The surrounding world was getting blurry to me. Repeating this process again, I shot the third batch of arrows. Thud, thud, thud. All of them hit the target this time. The first one was even at the perfect center. The cheers of my happy parents entered my ears. Wow! Awesome, Ian. Very good. Mom clapped loudly with a proud smile on her face. Amazing! My little boy could even beat experienced hunters just with this. Dad said with a cheerful expression and sparkling eyes. This is tough. Though I have learned how to handle 3 arrows at once, I need more practice with target hitting. Well, this should be good enough. I took some deep breaths and released them slowly, channeling some of the inner energy to lessen my fatigue. I walked towards Dad and sat down next to him. Here, drink this. He handed me a glass of orange juice which he made with fresh oranges. It's good, I exclaimed after just one sip. I unconsciously said it out loud, but it was truly refreshing. That's right. I made it with extra care. I knew you would like it, Dad said proudly, holding a transparent jar which was now just slightly less than half. Your mom likes this too. You two are the same. Dad continued after some time. His eyes had a happy and nostalgic look. Okay then, that should be enough for today. Holding the bough which was half of my height, I stood up and made my way towards the door. Today was good enough. I was able to refine my long-distance arrow and improve the triple arrow firing. But there was one thing I felt was weird. The last batch which all hit the target felt different. The feeling was a first for me, only seeing the target and almost nothing else. This was like what I heard most expert athletes feel when they are hyper-focused on their goal. But I am still far away from that. I could feel that. Though my learning speed is quite fast, I will still need a lot more practice to grasp that feeling. Well, I have all the time I would need for that. There is also a lot more for me to learn regarding archery. There were many other techniques that I had to even try first. Mom gave me some books on archery on my birthday, so I was happy. Dad had a special gift for me. I touched a small pendant on my neck. Mana crystal. The mana crystal is a natural mineral that is naturally created and is only found in deep caves with high mana in very small quantities. This processed pendant is a rare item on the market, and very few artisans know how to handle these things properly. The mana inside the pendant is in a condensed state that doesn't circulate and gets discharged in nature unless it's used as a source by someone to cast a spell or differently. I can speed up my awakening process with this if I want to, but I will hold on to it for any possible future emergencies. I had a long way to go already. So, let's put everything on the side and eat something. I have to eat a lot to grow faster, you know. Status window. Equals 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 equals. Name, Axion Cromit. Age 5. Strength, 10. Dexterity, 12. Stamina, 13. Magic power, 9. Intelligence, 18. Luck, 11. Charm, 9. Skills, energy circulation. Origin skill. Sun's blessing. Equals 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 equals. Not bad. Almost all of my stats were in the range of 10. Only the MP and charm were stuck at 9. After some time of quiet thinking, I thought to myself, MP will rise significantly once I go through the awakening and create my mana nucleus, and I don't have to worry about charm at all. I looked at myself in the large mirror in the room. I look like a prince of a fairy tale. What will I do in the future? With sparkling blonde hair like midday sun and ruby red eyes that can charm anyone, I was already many times more handsome than in my previous life. I now wish I was a little less pretty. I never thought about it, but my appearance might result in some problems in the future. Well, I really don't have to worry about it for now. Worrying about the unknown future is not a good thing. Things will work out somehow. At least, I believe that. The thing I have to worry about is my next part of the training, which obviously is core creation. There was still some time left for the night, so I got to the library. Reading is one of my hobbies now. I read almost all the time when I was not doing training or eating. My parents are amazing to let me do what I want if it is not dangerous. They are sweet and thoughtful to buy me many books which even they know a 5-year-old kid could not entirely understand. They know that I am different from most kids in many aspects, so they support me and help me with anything I need. They think they are fortunate ones, but it's the other way around. I smiled in relief. Well, let's not think about that and do some homework on the next arrow technique I will be practicing. I also have to improve my senses to do some cool stuff with arrows later when I have mastered some other tricks. I got to the library and opened the archery guide that Mom gifted me and started flipping the pages. I stopped on a page with some drownings and looked at the title of the technique. Arrow spin. Though difficult, this one will be interesting. I smiled lightly and started reading about it. The next day, in my large backyard, I was standing alone some distance away from the round, red-white targets. It was still early, so Mom and Dad weren't ready to watch my practice. The target was behind a wooden log this time. I was trying to spin the arrows to the side and then hit the target. It looks difficult, and it definitely is. Well, I just have to try repeatedly and learn from the previous attempts. I am sure it will work out if I don't give up. I took out an arrow from behind me and stood in the position. The book affirmed that the position of the arrow on the bow has to be right for the arrow to bend on that one side. I took some time to remember the exact positioning and prepared to give it my first try. Taking a deep breath, I got into my position. Looking at my target, which should be right behind the wooden log, I thought, the arrow will tilt to the right side after that. Spinning in the straight line, it will hit the target. I released the arrow. The result of the first attempt was, well done. I failed. It just hit the wooden log itself. Nothing to worry about, though. I am just getting started. Giving up isn't something I would do so easily. That's what I learned from my previous as well as this life. If I really think there is not even a fraction of a chance to succeed, I wouldn't even try. But leaving the things I started midway is not something I want to do. I took out the second arrow and repeated the entire process. Failed again. The third try, failed. The fourth try, failed. The fifth try, failed. The sixth try, failed. Asterisk. After trying roughly 21 times, the arrow finally bent. But still, it didn't hit the target. But that was enough for today. Good progress for today. Is it actually a bit easier than I thought it to be? Well, that's good for me, anyway. I thought and started to turn around when I heard two very familiar voices. That was outstanding. How could you learn something that difficult so quickly? Dad shouted loudly. He had an envious look as well as a proud look of a person whose child had just won a medal. Ian, that's so cool. How did you do it? That focused expression of yours was as serious as your dad's when casting a hard spell. Come here. It was Mom this time. She was with Dad right now and not on the balcony. And, from the way she was talking, it looked like they were watching me for quite a long time. I didn't realize at all? Was I that focused on the target this time? Well, it could be good in some way. I am improving, I thought as I reached them. Mom hugged me tightly and Dad watched us with a smiling face and concerned eyes. He really has exceptional talent, and that's exactly why I'm concerned. But she is many times more anxious than I am. He thought, looking at his wife who was hugging their son. Maybe Axion didn't realize what his father was thinking as he hugged his mother back. They stayed that way for some time, and after that, Mom started talking. Your hands look hurt. Let's go treat them first. After those continued attempts, my hands were bruised. Mom knew right away as she dragged me in without letting me speak. Dad watched us with a helpless look and followed up. This should be enough. You will have to rest until tomorrow and don't do anything, Mom ordered as she tied both of my hands with bandages entirety. This definitely is some kind of punishment. Did she wrap both of my hands in bandages for something small like this? Just some medical herbs would have worked. She even prepared some potions, but Dad stopped her saying that would be too much. Well, I can't do anything about Mom. That's just how she is. Me getting hurt would be the last thing she wants to see. But this will also prevent me from doing anything for the time being. Well, I should have some rest anyway. Okay then. I will feed you dinner today, Mom said with a cheerful look on her face. She was excited, but there was a look of concern in her eyes too. My little baby is growing fast and I can't play with him as much as I want. But if he likes what he is doing, then I can't stop him either. She hid her concerns and sat down with her son. So, what should I make today? Dad asked while looking at us. Mom answered his silly question with a mischievous smile. Oh, honey, is that even a question? Whatever you make is so amazing that I want to reward you every time I eat it. Dad just looked the other way after hearing that, as he understood what reward meant. He seemed a bit delighted after hearing Mom say that. I asked in a different tone after hearing her question. This was also something that was on my mind for a long time. Will I get a reward if I make something like Dad too? To be honest, I wanted to learn to cook from my dad but couldn't ask him. This was a wonderful opportunity for me to accomplish that dream. Yes, I would give you whatever you ask if you cook something special for me. She was excited to hear that I would make her something. Okay then. You have to keep your promise. Definitely. As long as it's within my limits. She clarified with a calm smile, but there was a doubtful look in her eyes for a second before it disappeared. Ok. So I should go and start preparing for it. Dad left and Mom and I were left alone in the room. Mom and I chattered about some other things before dinner. Mom is actually a very smart person, but she worries too much. I love them, I thought while looking at a clear, beautiful hand holding a spoon. I opened my mouth and ate the stew. Delicious as always. Dad's cooking was top-notch. The day was coming to an end, and I was in thoughts of perfecting my technique. But I enjoyed the food more than that thought today. Maybe because Mom was the one to feed it? Well, it's a good feeling. The next day, standing on the grass-clothed ground, I took the stance. The sun was already setting, so this one might be the last try. Staring at the place where the target should be with an unblinking gaze, I released the arrow. The arrow hit the target somewhere between the edges and the center. That was hard. After practicing for the whole day, I was able to land the arrow on the target. That was a lot less time than an average archer who practices archery exclusively would take. Okay then, what should I do for my next? I stopped and thought about something. Now that I was able to fire 3 arrows perfectly, I should give a try to blind firing. Blind firing was just as its name suggests, shooting the arrow without looking at the target. This one was a long shot, but I was many times more eager to try it out. And I can do 2 things at once while practicing that. I will have to enhance my scenes with the flowing energy inside me, and to do that, I will have to gain more control over my body. So I should start meditation starting tomorrow with my regular training. By meditating and circulating the energy inside my body and fusing it with the environmental mana, I will be able to enhance my senses as well as progress further in completing the mana nucleus. For this plan to work, I had to gain a certain level of proficiency in handling the environmental mana so that Dad wouldn't notice it. That was the reason I had to practice that at night. But I think I am now ready to do that as practice training. So, I'm now closer to the path of a magic archer, and now I have something I can convince Mom to let Dad teach me magic with. But whether Mom gives the permission or not will be decided by her. If she doesn't approve Dad to teach me, I can just self-teach myself with the knowledge I have from reading books from both worlds and playing games in the past world. It would all be in the future anyway. I just have to do my best in the things that I am doing. I believe Mom will disagree first, but she promised to give me anything I want if I make her something special. So I will also have to ask Dad to teach me cooking. The next some months will definitely be difficult, but I will have to endure them and make my way towards the destination. Everything should work out if nothing goes wrong with my plans. Okay, so let's do some running to end today's training session. I thought about how I'm still a 5-year-old kid who was doing this many things all at once, and a weird smile appeared on my face. Thinking it like this, I admire my parents even more now. They have to be amazing to even agree with everything I do. I sighed and continued running with a small smile. Ian, it's time for lunch, Brian shouted, looking at his son, who was sitting on the ground doing some kind of meditation training. He started thinking when he didn't get a reply from his son. He is doing that thing for months. I don't know what he does, but he is improving at a speed I haven't even heard is possible. Which child, who is not yet 6 years old, can master archery to the extent of a professional archer who has practiced for almost his entire life? He is amazing. What would he do if he awaken? Will he learn magic as fast as archery? He thought for some time and reached his conclusion. Nah, no way. Magic isn't something you would understand just by looking and reading books. Well, he has a long time before he goes through awakening anyway. Besides, convincing his mom will be the most difficult task for him. He thought as he left his son be. He was doing this for the past couple of months, and when he's finished with it, he comes to eat. But seeing his determination and the level of focus he has is always a sight to behold. Every time I see him, my heart beats faster, and a new power to work even harder surges from deep within me. Yes, let's get to work. How long is he planning to do this training of his today? Nolan wondered, looking at her little baby from her window. Axion was doing this sense enhancement or something training for the past couple of months. He gets so focused that he doesn't even eat on time. Should I tell him to stop doing that? She thought for a moment before shaking her head and instantly changing her mind.
No.
I can't do that. He likes his archery as much as his books. It wasn't normal for kids to like the books or things like archery or magic from such a young age. But has always been different. He liked to read books and learn about new things. It is like he wants to know more things about a new unknown world. But that doesn't matter to me at all. He is my son. I would let him do anything he wants, and if learning about new stuff is what he wants, I can't force him to stop. I can only tell him how I would feel and guide him, now and in the future. He is smart anyway, a lot more than even some of the adults I have seen throughout my life. So ultimately, I believe him. She decided and moved her gaze from him and got back to her work. I released a deep breath and opened my eyes. Looks like it's about time. I am sure it was about time for my awakening, and it was sometime around next week. I have this feeling that a lot of things will change after that. But it wasn't a bad feeling. It was more about how my parents would feel about that. Well, I'm sure they will be happy, sad, and excited at the same time. But that would be for the future me to worry about. Let's go grab something to eat. Worrying about the future isn't something I should do when I already have so much on my plate. Well, there is literally too much on the plate in front of me. I wondered and looked towards the person standing in front of me. Dad? Why do I have so much on my plate? I asked, thinking that it was a joke. But Dad had a different answer ready for me. You should eat a lot. You are a growing kid. And you had longer training today. So eat up. Dad said excitedly with a happy expression and handed me a glass of juice. I took the glass that I know would be good already and drank some of it. And I was right, as always. It was now a sort of special thing from Dad. After joining him in the kitchen and learning about many things, I was able to give Dad some idea about the things I had eaten in my previous life. Though things are a bit different in this world, some simple things could be made here too. And this juice, which was more like a milkshake, was something that Dad has mastered and likes to make for Mom and me. This amazed Mom the first time she drank it. She already liked Dad's cooking, and this new recipe was a wonderful addition to that. And drinking when it's chilled with the ice magic is definitely delightful. I finished the food, which was a bit much for me, and came out for a walk. After some time of running around and practicing some more, which was totally extra for today, I got back in. It is going to be really different in the future, but one thing I am sure that will not change is definitely them. Their reaction might be different, but they will always be the same for me, and I will be always the same to them. I thought as I got back to my room and prepared to sleep. Next week. I thought as I closed my eyes. On a bright and lovely day, I was sitting in my usual place in a crossed-leg position. Inhaling deeply, I held my breath and took some small breaths until I couldn't intake any air at all. Holding the air, I imagined some small particles surrounding me coming towards me and mixing with a pool of light, which was the same color as the small parties of light. The particles were gathering on that spot one by one, but the pool of light was changing its form into something else. The particles of light were gathering at a faster speed now. The pool of light changed into a round sphere, which now started spinning. The spinning sphere was now absorbing the particles of light even faster than before. But at one point it slowed and started to change its color. It changed until it was white and stopped spinning entirely. And at that point, boom! An explosion echoed throughout the area. Brian and Nolan came running out of the house and stared at the spectacle before them with wide eyes. Unbelievable! How is this possible? Nolan exclaimed in shock with wide and uncertain eyes. Brian asked with his mouth wide open. He is just 5 years old and, already? He thought, looking at his son, which was at the center of the explosion in his meditating state like every day. Nolan was staring at him but snapped out of it after a moment. She ran towards him and stopped in front of him. Brian also came and stood beside her. She put her head on his shoulder and looked at Axion. Brian held her and stood there silently. Unknown to any of this, I slowly opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was my parents looking down at me with mixed emotions in their eyes. Amazement, sadness, happiness, worry, and a bit of anger. Looking at them, I asked, unknown of what has happened around me. Mom? Dad? They looked at each other and nodded. After that, Dad picked me up and brought me inside the house. Mom followed behind us with an anxious look on her face. Do you feel something odd? Dad asked with a concerned look on his face. Are you hurt anywhere? Mom asked after him. I just shook my head and answered. No. Nothing hurts. But I feel a bit different somehow. Dad had a relieved expression, but Mom was still not fully satisfied with the answer. She looked at my father and said with a sharp look in her eyes, "We should call a priest and a doctor," she suggested, holding my hand and patting my head with the other hand. I don't think it will be needed. I don't feel any unusual fluctuations of mana. In fact, it's as natural flowing as any other new awakener. It's anything but impressive," he said reassuringly as he removed the hand that was on the place where my mana nucleus should be. But still, just bring the potions from that shelf. That will be enough for the time being, she requested with a smile and pointed at a shelf that was in the other corner of the room. Dad sighed and walked towards the place Mom pointed and took out a glass bottle with green liquid. His eyes had a shocked look, but it instantly vanished and he walked toward me and asked me to open my mouth. I opened my mouth and he downed the potion, which I know was a costly and effective intermediate healing potion. Well, I'm not hurt to begin with, but drinking a potion for the first time is a rare opportunity for me, so it doesn't hurt to try it. The potion was just tasteless. It just felt like drinking water, and after drinking it, it felt like my whole body was out of any kind of stress. It was like waking up after a good long sleep. A rejuvenating feeling. You are not allowed to do anything from now until I say otherwise, Mom said with a stern voice as she looked at me with a bright smile. That was the smile she gives when warning about something. That means I really can't do anything. She had made up her mind. Okay, I answered with a sad and calm voice. Okay. Go to sleep. Dad and I need to chat, so we will take our leave, she said and left with the dad without giving me any chance to speak. She stopped before leaving. Turning towards me, she kissed me on the forehead. She left the room with Dad following behind her. Might as well check what I got after the awakening. Thinking that I thought about the line I have said many times but never felt like this thrilled before. Status window. Status window. Name, Axion Cromit. Age 5. Strength, 15. Dexterity, 18. Stamina, 17. Magic power, 16. Intelligence, 22. Luck, 16. Charm, 11. Skills, energy circulation. Origin skill, Sun's blessing, basic mastery. Mystic eyes, stage 1. This was the first time I have seen my states being this high, and mostly the magic power, which grew significantly after my awakening. I knew something like this would happen, so I wasn't surprised about that. What surprised me was the origin skill, which unexpectedly grew to the basic mastery. I looked at the skill which I unlocked at this point. Mystic eyes. I had read about them. They were rare but not that much. Among every few people with a origin skill, people with mystic eyes appeared once in a while. But like every origin skill, the mystic eyes have different effects and uses. I tried to use it for the first time. It was easy to use the skills as I only had to think about it or say its name. I thought in my mind, origin skill mystic eyes. I could feel mana inside me quickly going towards my eyes. It was very fast that not even a second had passed and the sensation vanished. A new world appeared before my eyes. Wow! I could see everything. I could see the fly in a corner vividly. I could see the ant on the table. I looked outside and there, I could see birds a long distance away. I could even see a grass blade some distance away, clearly. But then, everything suddenly got back to normal. There was some pain in the back of my head, but that quickly vanished. I think it's because I don't know how to control them yet. But still, this is amazing. This was a perfect skill for me as an archer. It's a very good thing. I was very excited. I now had a vision as sharp as the eagle's, if not more. I took a deep breath and slowly released it. Okay, let's calm down a bit, I thought as I laid back on the bed. Many thoughts were passing through my mind one by one. Now that I have gone through the awakening, I can practice magic. But doing that on my own will definitely be risky, so that thing is for the future. I can't continue my daily routine, as Mom told me to stay still for the time being. Most importantly, I had to convince Mom in the future. There were many things I could do in the future, but I had to forget all of that and remain calm. Handling Mom will definitely be a bit difficult, and Dad may even refuse. I had to consider that possibility. The upcoming future will be a bit difficult. And there was even my archery practice. I sighed and closed my eyes. Well, rolling around in bed for some days isn't bad either. I can even practice controlling my mystic eyes while still in here. Thinking about things like this, I fell asleep without knowing. But there were two people who were talking about something else in the other room. How is this possible? Nolan asked with a worried expression. Early manifestation of mana nucleus is very rare but not impossible. The desire for growth and the knowledge needed for possible early manifestation play a key role in it. But I have never heard of a child, who isn't even 6 years old, being awakened. I think the reason for that is most likely an auxiliary skill related to mana. We never asked him about the status window, right? We will have to ask now that he has awakened. Brian explained as he too looked worried. This situation wasn't normal for me either. This was the first time I ever heard about someone this young, awakening. And so normally at that. He definitely is a genius. Brian thought to himself as a small smile appeared on his face. You better not be thinking something weird, Nolan warned with a sharp look in her eyes. He immediately bowed and said in a shaking voice, Yes. She looked at him with pitiful eyes. What am I going to do with them? She was already worried sick that Ian would have hurt himself, but he was fortunately all right. On the other hand, his dad was thinking something weird, like he could be an amazing mage. Knowing that it's not going to happen on her watch anytime soon. She sighed. This was an unbelievable thing. But it had already happened. What should I do now? Ian is perfectly fine and he is safe too. I knew a day like this would come, but I never imagined it would be this much early. Magic was dangerous if not controlled properly. And a young kid like Ian would definitely get hurt without proper teaching. But he is not even 6 years old? She was in agony over the fact that her little boy was smart and different from others, but now he is awakened, which means he could practice magic. As a mother, she was happy and sad at the same time. He is a genius. That fact couldn't be denied. But it is that very thing that worries me the most. The fate of such individuals is always full of dangers. For that reason, he had to be strong. Strong enough to protect himself if needed. But I can't let him practice magic just yet. She nodded and stood up. After a long time of contemplating, she had made up her mind. She stood up and left the room. Brian followed behind her with a stoic expression. Mom? Dad? I got up after hearing the sound of the door opening. Mom entered with her usual smiling face. Dad was behind her with a confused look on his face. She sat down beside me and put her hand on my cheek. She then kissed my forehead and asked me a question I was eager to hear. Do you want to become a mage like your daddy in the future? I hesitated for a moment and answered with a determined look. Yes, I want to become a mage, but I like archery too. So, I stopped for a moment and looked into my mother's eyes. I want to become a magic archer. She flinched. This will be more difficult for me than I thought. She thought that he would be happy to hear her ask this. But he dropped a new bombshell that was even more dangerous. She knew about magic archers. They were from a group of people that practiced in both physical and magical aspects. That is more difficult, but the more dangerous thing in that is always magic. So, at the end of the day, magic was at the center of the problem. She looked at him with a smile and said, Okay then, you can do it, but I have some of my conditions you must have to follow. This was unexpected. My eyes widened in surprise. I reflexively replied to her with a shocked and happy expression. Really? She nodded her head and answered with a smile. Yes, but if you don't follow my conditions, then you will have to do whatever I tell you to do, she said with a secretive expression. I thought about it for some time and answered with a low and uncertain voice. Ooh, okay. She nodded her head and smiled brightly. Dad, who was standing next to me, had a pitiful look in his eyes as he thought. She got him. I looked at him and had an ominous feeling. Was my decision right? I questioned my own judgment for the first time in a long while. Okay then. My conditions are: 1. You will only start your magic practice after your birthday. 2. You will only train in the morning and only practice magic when Dad is around. 3. You will have to play with me when you aren't practicing. Oh, honey, you can always join us. 4. You won't do anything dangerous. Something that could hurt you is a total no. 5. If you want anything I said to be true, then you will have to surprise me by making me something special. If I don't like it, then you can forget about everything. Those were her conditions. She had a very bright look. She thought that she got me. But, ok, that will fully work for me. But, I will need Dad to help me with the thing I will be making. She looked at my bright expression. Did he not hear that I won't allow him if he doesn't make something special? No, he has a very confident look. Did I miscalculate something? Oh! She suddenly realized something. Mom, you can't go back on your words now. I interrupted her with a teasing expression like hers when she teases Dad. I forgot that the milkshake was his idea, so he definitely has something up his sleeves. Hump. Okay, but it better be something nice. She looked embarrassed, but she said that with a straight face. Ok. You and Dad will love it, I said, looking at both of them one by one. Me too, Dad asked with a confused expression. Yes, we will all eat it together next weekend, I replied with a brighter look. Okay then, I will help you the best I can. Dad looked very happy, as if he caught what I was saying. I think he understood what I was saying. I smiled at Mom, who looked like she understood my intentions as well. He remembered it's my birthday on that day. She also looked at me with warm eyes. Was he planning for that already? Dad thought, looking at me with a proud expression. Looking at both of us, she sighed inwardly. I should have asked for something else. I underestimated him this time. He definitely is something else. She grabbed me and my father. Dad sat down with us. I was in the middle. You are not allowed to get hurt. Ever. She said, or more like ordered, as she hugged both of us.
Około.
I said, hugging her back. Dad just smiled and hugged us both from the other side. In my previous world, many things were part of people's everyday life. In this world, however, there are many things that haven't been thought of yet. Milkshakes, burgers, and pizza are the things that were part of my daily life. Many Eastern delicacies could be found here, but they are mostly on the Eastern continent. Dad is an awesome cook, so I didn't really have to remember about those things. The delicious things I ate until now were things that I could only rarely see. But making those things here ain't bad either. I can try those things again too. My mom sometimes likes things that are unique, but she mostly prefers ordinary things. So something unique and simple. Let's try burgers and fries. That will be the most simple and unique thing. And that will also be something a little boy might be able to think about. If I make something too unique, it might not fit appropriately. Well, I am quite certain Mom and Dad wouldn't think too much of it, but I don't feel comfortable about that. I thought as I continued thinking about the preparations. There were many things Dad and I had to do for that day. This was my first time preparing for the party, and I didn't want to make any mistakes. So everything had to at least be perfect. Then something suddenly crossed my mind. But won't that be too simple? There should be something else too. If I only make some burgers and fries, then there will be something definitely missing. Something like a dessert at the end of the meal. I closed my eyes and thought deeply about it. And after some time, a light clicked in my mind. Yup, I will be the first person on the continent to make ice cream. Well, the idea is new from this world's point of view, but I know the aristocrats will love it. There are many sweets in this world that are unique to it. There are also many things that upper society and nobility usually eat during the so-called tea parties. But the cold sweets and brewage are not that well versed here. But I can't say for certain about the current trends. I haven't ever visited any town or city. My family and I are stuck in this border town ever since I know. I don't know much about my parents either. I don't even know about my own family background. Well, I'm not actually curious about that, not one bit. I believe in my parents. If they didn't tell me, then that means it's not something I should be worried about. I shook those things from my mind and got up. So then, shall we start with a list of ingredients? Saying that I got downstairs to meet up with Dad. Dad stared at the piece of paper I handed him. He was deep in thought about what special thing his son would make for his dear wife. The meat is nothing special, the vegetables are also not that extraordinary except for the amount. And there is a large quantity of milk. He thought for a moment but then shook his head. Okay. Everything will be here by tomorrow. You can do whatever you want, and if you need any help just call me. And I will be there. He smiled at me and put the list inside his pocket. He looked confident and proud for some reason. He then just turned around and got back to his work. I should get started too. I also got ready to leave for my room. I wasn't allowed to do training, so I had to stay in my room. I turn around but suddenly, Boo! Kia! I jumped up in surprise and almost fell down. Mom was standing right behind me. Mom! Why did you do that? You say I should rest and then surprise me like this. I shouted at her with a beet red face. This definitely wasn't something I had expected. She caught me totally off guard. That was really spooky. Oh my! Did I surprise you that much? She asked with her usual mischievous smile. She then patted my head with her warm hand and said with a worried look in her eyes. Okay. You can go. But don't push yourself too hard. Just call Dad whenever you need it. She was now worried about me again. I sighed internally. She worries too much. I thought as I looked her in the eyes. I know that it could be dangerous, but I'm learning cooking for quite a long time, so she has to understand. Then again, that's exactly how she is. I smiled back and reassured her. Don't worry, Mom. Just look forward to your special dinner. I quietly headed back towards my room after saying that. I could feel her eyes on my back, so I quickly climbed up the stairs. It will be a little difficult for some days. I sat down facing the window and closed my eyes. Mystic eyes. I could feel the energy slowly getting to my upper body towards my eyes. I slowly adjusted the output and tried to memorize the feeling. Then, when I opened my eyes, I could clearly see far away. If I focus it like shrinking and adjusting a telescopic lens. Ugh! I suddenly felt pain in the back of my head and the skill got cancelled. It still needs some more practice. Well, I have plenty of time, so that is not a problem. But there wasn't much time left for Mom's birthday. Fortunately, everything is also ready. I got down to the kitchen and looked at everything that Dad had prepared. As expected, he is good at this stuff. Everything was perfectly organized and the things that I requested were also managed properly. There is preservation magic on them so nothing will get damaged. And there won't be any problem with the main course. But how do I make ice cream? I thought for a moment and called Dad. Dad? Yes? Do you need something? He quickly answered from outside. Come here for a moment. I instructed him, looking at a mana device that was used for mixing wheat and making dough. I have seen those antique ice cream makers and this may be enough. Yes. What is it? Dad entered the room and asked with a calm tone. I said in a quiet voice, you have to keep this a secret. He looked surprised and happy all of a sudden. Yes, just tell me. He also whispered in my ears. I slowly started speaking. Asterisk. As I told him about the production procedure of ice cream, his expression changed from confusion, astonishment, and then surprise. Wow, I never thought something like that would be possible. This could really turn out to be amazing. He thought as he looked up at his son with a proud expression. Ok, this sounds fun. Let's get ready. Shouting in a loud voice, he picked me up. But then, what sounds fun? Tell me too. Mom spoke, standing by the door. He suddenly turned around and looked at her. I was in his arms, so I saw her too, with surprised, wide eyes. Did she hear anything? An earthquake occurred in both of our eyes. No. Nothing, honey. We were just talking about you, Dash. He was going to say something unnecessary, so I cut him off immediately. Mom, you shouldn't eavesdrop. And it's a secret, so please go. I hurriedly shouted and signaled Dad. He too added after me. Yes, it's a secret, so please don't disturb us. Mom had an astonished look. So, they won't tell me? That's interesting. This clearly means Ian has something interesting for me. Not knowing it is definitely better. Okay then. I won't disturb you. Please be careful with your work. Saying that she left without any questions. That was easy? I looked at my dad. He too looked a bit confused, but it seemed like he had some idea about what was going on in her head. Well, I don't think she will come again, so we should get ready. Dad spoke after a moment of silence. I just nodded my head and we started the work. The mixing device needed some modification, so I asked Dad to put a sound restrictions barrier so that we could work in peace. I sorted out ingredients for ice cream and took out a small amount for the test experiment. Dad prepared the modified device and we put the ingredients into it one by one. Because it was just an experimental test, there wasn't any special flavor, so we just let it be. Dad used ice magic to freeze the outer surface of the machine. The rotating blades inside it were working properly. The milk, sugar, and cream were mixed perfectly, and the temperature was also maintained properly, and the ice crystals were perfect. After roughly 30 minutes, it was ready. Ian, do you think it's ready? Can we eat it as it is? Dad asked with a confused gaze. Yup. Let's taste it. I was very excited not only because it was the first time after my rebirth I was eating it, but also because it would be the first time someone has made it into this world. I took a spoonful of it and quickly put it in my mouth. The smoothness and coolness of ice cream were just ordinary. A Weekum. It was wonderful, but chocolate flavor is my favorite. I decided to make different flavors for Mom's birthday. It's really good. Good job, Ian. We should sell these. Dad was also happy. He really loved this one. A new thing. Well, who doesn't like ice cream? We enjoyed the rest with different things, and Dad asked me what things we could do with it. Making different flavors, serving in different ways, and how we can improve the efficiency of production. I shared my opinion and some different methods of serving. Dad was astonished by many of the things I said. He was thinking many different things at the same time and looked like he was taking mental notes. It's like knowledge from a different world. He thought as he looked at his son with a very affectionate look. I, on the other hand, was thinking about the magic I would soon be learning. It's about time. I smiled with anticipation as the time passed and slowly put the last spoon of snow-white ice cream in my mouth. In a bustling market of the capital city Roxana Empire, where many shop vendors were shouting about their small goods and people were buying these things with different expressions, passing through this road, one girl with a hooded cloak walked quietly on the street watching everything from the food to various magic devices in the shops on the sides of the street. The girl with long blonde hair, which was hidden in her cloak, had deep, disappointment-filled brown eyes. She was observing every shop and the things that were sold in them with a sigh. Just as I thought, nothing new is trending these days. Why don't people do differently than the same food, machines, and magic? She walked down the street's complicated mind. The voices grew quiet as she walked ahead. After some time, the voices strangely died down completely. This was quite unusual. She knew something was wrong. She looked back, but there was nothing. The silence was making her uncomfortable, but she wasn't much worried. There wasn't much to worry about because the capital was one of the safest places in the empire. At most, there could be some low-level beasts. But then she heard some footsteps coming from the back. They were slow, almost fearless. She stopped and put her hand in her pocket. She wasn't someone that anyone could mess with anyway. There was a magic device she carried with her for testing purposes in this kind of situation. The footsteps stopped some distance behind her. She hurriedly pressed the button on the cubic device. The white cube in her pocket vibrated and the blue button on it slightly glowed. A current passed from it and dispersed in the surrounding area. She wasn't harmed one bit, but the man standing behind her fell to his knees, almost choking. She turned around and glared at him with furious eyes. For a moment, he was a young man wearing a magician's cloak. She then looked past him and saw some other people knocked down. Their attire looked like typical bandits. Some sharp weapons, those cliché outfits, and a small orb with a blinking red light on the ground. There were signs of a fight, but it looked one-sided, as if a predator had played with small flies. She finally grasped the whole situation and a small smirk appeared on her face. Looks like I made a mistake this time. She walked up to the man and helped him get back up. There wasn't much harm as the device only stunned the targets in the surrounding area. He got up and then she could see his appearance, or more like bathe in that beautiful, confusing art. He had long black hair, they were almost shining in the small bit of light passing in the alley. His deep red eyes shone as if they were jewels. She looked at him with wide eyes. This was her first time seeing something like this, but she wasn't surprised by just his appearance. "Hey, handsome, are you all right?" she said truthfully, but got an unexpected reaction from the person before her. He instantly turned red as soon as he looked at her. His deep red eyes locked with her beautiful brown light eyes. He was astonished by the unexpected comment as well. This whole situation was unexpected for him. Everything. I just sensed a mana fluctuation of a magic device and came to see what was going on. But then I found some unfortunate bandits following a person, so I got the idea of everything. Playing with them wasn't much fun, so I just put them to sleep. But this lady then stunned me and now she is calling me handsome? This whole ordeal was unexpected and unreal. "What could you be doing here, sir?" she politely asked again as there was no answer to the previous question. "Actually, I got lost," he said truthfully, with a depressed expression. and looked down in shame. It was funny that a mage got lost. I am new in the capital and don't know much about the roads. He explained that he was from the Southern Territory, which is the second dukedom of the empire. Because of his circumstances, he moved to the capital. If that's the case, why don't I show you around someday? She asked with a small smile. She wanted to look around some more anyways. Having such a company would be much better. Being a merchant, she believed in her intuition and was good at determining a person's character. He is a good person with an amusing character, she thought, smiling internally as she looked at his red face.
No.
It won't be a problem. He immediately shook his head in denial. This didn't sound too pleasing to him.
No.
Please, just think of it as an apology for what happened, she insisted, with a big happy smile on her face. He looks cute when he's flustered. It is my first time seeing such pure expression. If you don't mind, then I will have to trouble you. Thanks. He bowed his head and they talked some more time about the city before she asked a question that should have been the first thing to ask. So I forgot to ask your name. Can you tell me now? Asking in a low voice, she looked at him. Oh, yes. That was my mistake. My name is Brian Cromit. He exclaimed and introduced himself with an embarrassed look. Cromit? I think I have heard that name before. She was thinking, but suddenly remembered where she heard that familiar name. Oh, then are you Red-Eyed Hunter from the south? That's all. She stopped talking when she looked at the gloomy expression on his face. Please don't call me that. It's embarrassing, he urged as he was red as a tomato. Yeah, he is cute. Seeing that expression often won't be a bad idea, right? Okay then, let's go. I dragged him, holding his hand. Her white and fair hands were smooth, but the fingers felt rough to him, as if one had done so much paperwork that their hands were now used to it. Her hands, they are so soft, he thought, blankly holding her hand. They walked out of the street and stopped on the main road. Oh yes, there seems to be some kind of event today in the North Park. Let's go there after I show you around, I suggested, remembering the posters about the play on the street. This play was famous as there were many famous actors playing the roles of different main characters. I don't know if it will be possible, miss. I have some work in the central office of Adventurer Association. With a worried tone, he answered, looking down. It is fine. Besides, I also have some things to check at the central office. I sighed and answered him with a confident smile on my face. I should get some more information on this fellow. It is always good to know about the person you are with. If you say so, miss. Then, sorry for the trouble. He bowed and we started walking around the main streets of the capital. Walking around, we talked about many places that were popular in the city and after a moment, reached our destination. Miss, we can meet at this place after our work is done, he said in a calm voice as he turned around to leave. But he stopped as someone grabbed his hand. Turning around, he saw the lady who was with him all this time. You can call me Nolan. And don't be late. Handsome. Letting go of his hand, I walked forward to the huge white building. After walking a few steps, I stopped and turned my head to look at him. There, the man was just standing in the same position as she was, holding his hand with a face as red as a rose. Adorable. This type of reaction isn't normal these days. Not knowing, I was smiling as I entered the building. On the other hand, he was still there, blankly staring at his hand. What was that? And why are these things happening today? Still lost in thought, he was quietly thinking about the lady as he too walked into the building. I entered the central office, which was one of the busiest and most huge places in the entire capital city. Not minding the eyes on me, I reached the third floor, which was a restricted area for the common people. Wait for a minute. Please show us your ID card and meeting papers. I took out a blue card and handed them. They looked shocked as soon as I handed the card, and quickly checked it with a magic device. Bowing politely, they said with a respectful voice, You can go, Miss Nolan. Please forgive our rudeness. Keep up the good work. I walked to the door with a golden nameplate. After finishing our work, we both met at the agreed place. Looking at him, a single thought came to my mind. He is a really good man. From the little investigation, I found many things about him and none of them were terrible. We started walking as I held his hand more tightly. So, Miss St. Nolan, why are we still going towards the garden? With a worried expression, he asked, glancing to the other side. Nothing much, just to show you around. Replying with a small smile, I looked forward to where two giant gates stood and beyond them were green plants and some big trees. Entering the garden, we sat down on a bench by the lake and looked forward at the beautiful birds by the lake. A huge garden filled with many different plants, trees, flowers, as well as wildlife. Nature, which was always beautiful when seen with open eyes and ears. A lake which is the center of the wildlife forms to gather. A place loved by the couples. In such a place, we were sitting on the same bench. It feels like an unofficial date. I giggled in my thoughts as we just sat there quietly. So, what will you be doing next weekend, Mr. Brian? I asked first, breaking the awkward silence. Next weekend? I don't have anything particular for some time. Maybe normal hunting? Why do you ask, miss? He asked with a confused look. Well, nothing much. You just got a date with me on that day. Just meet me here, okay? I stood up and left with a somewhat serious face. After a moment of silence, he suddenly turned around and looked at me with wide eyes. I also stopped and gave him a small smile before leaving. I was looking forward to a real date. I looked outside the window, where Ian and his dad were setting up the tables. That was the first time we met, and, after all this time, not much has changed. He is still almost the same. And our little baby is a genius. Today was her birthday, and her son and husband were preparing for the party. The surprise dinner from Ian. I'm so looking forward to it. I think it's something totally different. Brian was also excited. She was looking forward to what kind of otherworldly thing her son had prepared for her. It's almost time. So, let's go. She got up and headed downstairs. They set everything outside, so there must be something else too. In the twilight of the setting sun, which has painted the horizon in bright orange, the rising stars who have covered half the sky with their glamorous sparkling light, someone was sitting on a chair in the large backyard of a two-story house, alone. A stunningly beautiful lady with long blonde hair, which complemented the light of the setting sun perfectly, and light brown eyes which reflected the starlight, was sitting there with a confused look on her face. Where did they disappear all of a sudden? Ian and Brian just vanished after saying her to wait. Quite the time has already passed, but there was nothing going on. Let's just go and check on them. She was going to stand up, but then stopped herself. There was a candle in a glass on the table in front of her. Not only that one, but there were many candles decorated in the whole area. She didn't think much about it at the start, but now, suddenly the one in front of her lit up. She understood that there was something special about them. One by one the candles started to light up. It was the first time she had seen something like this. Arranged in many different shapes and designs, the candles, which were lighting up slowly, seemed to be making a harmonious song. Then, to make it true, a piece of slow music started playing in the background. She sat down and watched everything with wide, sparkling eyes. It's cute, she praised with a low voice as if to tell herself. Isn't it? Hearing that, she turned around. There she saw her family, looking at her with loving, triumphant eyes. Mom! Happy birthday! I loudly congratulated her and ran towards her. Behind me, Dad also followed me. He sat down opposite her on the round table, while I was still standing there waiting for something. Ian? What are you doing over there? Mom asked with a confused look on her face. He says that he will serve us dinner tonight. I don't know why, but he urged me to let him do it by himself. Dad explained instead of me. How can he even do that? Ian. She was going to say something, but I reassured her. Mom, it's okay. Just for today, let me do it. If you say so, but be careful. Shaking her head, she calmed herself down. It's okay, right? There won't be any problems if you were with him. But Dash, don't worry. He knows what he is doing. She asked, worriedly looking at Dad just to get cut out by him again. I turned around and entered the house to prepare everything. Mom and Dad, who were left alone in the backyard, were chatting peacefully. This was a candlelight dinner. I could hear laughter coming from outside sometimes, which was definitely Mom. Most of the time, after completing the preparation, I walked out with the dishes. Serving everything on the round table in front of us, I too sat down with them. The round table was filled with delicious-looking food. A thick soup which was yellow-white in color and filled with some vegetables. A round sandwich-like thing and chopped potatoes which looked fried. Sauces of different colors, salads, and a fine wine bottle from Dad.
So,
Ian, what are these things? Mom asked with a confused and surprised expression. She looked skeptical as she watched the food and smelled the appetizing fragrance. Everything was unique. It looked very eye-pleasing and mouth-watering. She didn't expect to be this much surprised with just some unique food items. Looking at her, I started introducing everything one by one. The soup here is a normal cream corn soup prepared as a starter. Then moving on to the main course, the sandwich-like thing is actually quite similar to a sandwich but a bit different as it has a steak-like meat as its core. If you want, you can try it with this red sauce and this fried potato sticks. You can also try it with wine if you want. Explaining the procedure and how I prepared the whole thing, I was tired and just started eating. Mom, Dad, please taste and tell me if it is good enough. Mom nodded and took the soup first. Taking a small spoon, she slowly tasted it. As soon as she took the first spoon, her eyes widened. Surprised, she took another big spoon and tasted it again. It's good, she praised with a surprised look on her face. It wasn't just the taste but also the texture and the feeling while eating the stew were unexpectedly sweet and smooth. I just smiled at her and finished the soup. The main dish was the star of today and a base setter for the big show. Moving on to the burger, she cut it in half and then in another half, making it a fourth of the original. She poured some sauce with a spoon as I told her and took a bite. The spicy, sweet, and crunchy taste was mouth-watering and the umami was perfect as she couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow!" Not minding them, I just ate the whole thing with my two small hands. This was the right way. The crunchy exterior of fries and sweet sour sauce and the soft interior was nostalgic to me. Well done me. I praised myself for making something this good. Dad, copying me, was eating with both hands and looked as delighted as me. Ian, I will need seconds for this one, he requested with a happy tone, wiping the sauce on his mouth. Don't worry, there is more than enough for us, I exclaimed while taking a sip of the orange juice Dad made for me. Mom was lost in her own thoughts as she didn't talk much and just ate her delicious food. He made all these unique things, just for me. How did he even think the ideas for them? He is special and he is my son. Thoughts that no one but a mother like her could understand passed rapidly through her mind. Not minding Dad cleaning up the table after finishing the eating, she just smiled at us. Okay then, if we are finished, let's eat the dessert. Interrupting her thoughts was my loud voice. I had shouted loudly to grab her attention. She was so lost in thoughts the whole time that she didn't even notice that I had already brought a large bowl filled with round, creamy objects of different colors. What is this? She asked as it looked like she was back to reality. Mom, it's a dessert which I named ice cream. Excitedly shouting, I put the bowl on the table. Mom had no idea what this was, but the story was different for Dad. He looked at the bowl with sparkling eyes and exclaimed with an excited voice, Honey, try this once and it will become your favorite dessert of all times. He exclaimed everything with extreme certainty in his eyes. Surprised to see this reaction, she couldn't hold herself back. Mom, try this pink and orange one. You will like them. Really? You two are a bit too excited this time. And honey, how do you know it is delicious? Did you try it before me? How can you? She grumbled in her usual cheerful voice. She was back to her cheerful self, so Dad was happy to see her tease him. Now it looks like she is perfectly fine. I thought, and served her strawberry and orange flavor. Dad took mango, and I took my all-time favorite chocolate. Mom took a spoonful of it and put it in her mouth. As soon as she took the first bite, her expression changed totally. As if to not believe herself, she took another bite. Confusion clouded her face. How could something be so soft and creamy at the same time? It has perfect smoothness and the texture is well refined. How did they make this? Wait, they made so much in such a short amount of time, which means it can be mass-produced. If that's the case, no, wait, calm down. Let's think about it later. After calming herself down, she looked at me. Ian, what flavor is trying? Let me have some too. Yes, Mom. Here, it's chocolate. Do you like this? Dad helped me with this one mostly. Sharing it with her, we slowly finished it in a short time. After talking for some time, I looked at her and asked, So, Mom, did you like it? Can I learn magic now? Dad also looked at her with serious eyes. The final say was her, and none of us can ignore that. Okay, let's think. She thought seriously and made her decision after some time, shaking her head. There was tension in the air, and the pressure of the words she would say was not only important for me but Dad too. I looked at Dad and he looked at me. We both gulped a mouthful of saliva as we stared at her mouth. But breaking the tension, we saw Mom smiling at us. Relax, both of you. Ian did something marvelous. It couldn't be as good as this even if done by a professional. She looked very satisfied with today. Dad and I released a long breath that we were holding from the start of the question. Thank you very much, Mom. I jumped up and hugged her, holding me in her arms. She lifted me up and put me on top of the table. Not only that, but you also get a wish from me. Ask anything you want, she said, kissing my forehead. She was very happy today. I could feel that just from her tone. Then, I will think about it and tell you later. Thank you for this, Mom. Really? I happily exclaimed as I gave her a kiss on the cheeks with a happy smile. Oh my, aren't you smart? Okay then. She hugged me as she said that. Standing behind the chair, Dad hugged both of us from behind as he too looked very happy with that. Now I will really learn magic, I thought as I closed my eyes in their embrace. Sitting in my mom's office, I read a book on elemental affinity. As my mom's condition, I wasn't allowed to do any physical training, so I was just reading different books nowadays. My mental stats also increased by a bit. As the world is made of 6 main elements and their many branched versions, the laws and principles of the world are like a finely weaved spider web. From nothingness to the creation of many things that we know today, to the unknowns of the world. From the base of the planet, which is made of earth element and stabilizes everything, to fire, which destroys or creates things. From water, which is a lifeline of all living, to wind, which is a symbol of freedom. Light, which destroys evil and also heals and cures to make the world better. Darkness is not necessarily bad, as the one who is corrupted and has evil intentions can have a different elemental affinity. Having an elemental affinity doesn't mean that you will master it, but it means that you can use magic related to that affinity. One can also build and master different affinities, but if they don't have a natural affinity, that would be very difficult. Building and increasing new proficiencies is a very difficult task. Reading the books only for the first time was the most fun for me, as I had now developed a photographic memory. I read one time and fully understand and remember all of the things. It's a total cheat for a magician who has to learn so much theory stuff. It was a very good thing, as I was going to learn magic in a short time. Magic in this world depends on theory as well as the visualization of the form of magic. A good memory and understanding of concepts are a must when learning magic. Theory plays a big role, as it is the foundation to understand the essence of magic and mana itself. I knew that theories will not be any difficult, as I already had a basic understanding of everything. As for the practical applications, I'm not ready yet, I mumbled to myself, but suddenly flinched as a harsh voice entered my ears. Damn right you aren't. So, don't even try to use magic by yourself. Mom spoke, looking at me with a cold smile on her beautiful face. Understood, I shouted reflexively, like soldiers answering the commands. Ian, you can't practice magic, but we can do an affinity test if you want. Mom said something totally unexpected this time. Hearing that, I suddenly stood up from where I sitting and looked at her with my eyes wide open. Really? I shouted with sparkling eyes. Yes, it's very simple and safe, actually. She replied with a confident look and told me to get ready. Brian, she shouted, looking outside the window behind her desk. Dad was outside watering the flowers and humming in a low voice. As soon as Mom shouted, he looked at us and asked, "Yes? Is there anything I can help you with?" Nodding her head in agreement, she shouted back, "How about we do an affinity test for Ian?" He stopped the water sparkling from his hand and looked at her with a fire in his eyes. Really? He loudly shouted to confirm what he heard was right. Usually, she wouldn't ask for anything like this first. Is it because it's not dangerous? Well, whatever it is, I can finally know my baby's elemental affinities. I hope it is something similar to mine, but whatever it is will be extraordinary. Just like him. Yes, but nothing else. Okay then. I will get it ready in a while. Wait for me. Saying that, Daddy ran inside the house at a very fast speed. He is more excited than me. Well, he is a father, so he would be curious. More importantly is, Mom exited too. I looked at her as she was smiling brightly for some reason. She looked like she was going to enjoy a good show. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Let's go, Ian, she exclaimed excitedly and dragged me downstairs by hand. As we sat down, Dad came inside running and huffing with sweat on his forehead. But his expression was very bright, as if he could finally do something he had been itching for quite some time. Okay then. Are you ready, Ian? He asked with a loud voice. His expression was funny as he said that. Yes, I answered worriedly as I looked at him. This was more than I expected. With fire in his eyes, a transparent sphere half of my height appeared beside him out of nowhere. I was surprised to see something like this for the first time. Dad, how did that appear here? Did you use spatial magic? This was my first time seeing it in person, as I had only read about something like this in books here. But I read that it was high-level magic, so I wasn't sure if he could really do it. But sadly, he shook his head and replied, No, it's not spatial magic. It's a skill called Item Box. It's a common skill used by many high-ranking adventurers. But you have to be at least Tier 2 to use it. So when you reach that far, I will give you a skill stone for that. Ah, there are storage devices too. Your mom has one of her own. It will make a good birthday present. He said the last line in a quiet voice, but I heard it clearly. It's a skill. Then this would be my first time seeing someone use a skill. It is also a convenient one. I positively shook my head. I have learned many things about skills this past few years. Skills, which we are born with, are called innate skills. Some people have this type of skill as they are the only ones who can use them. My energy circulation is also an auxiliary type innate skill. All energy beasts possess this kind of innate skills, as they are generally the same in the whole race. Skills obtained through a skill stone are called acquired skills. Skill stones are categorized by the colors. As they come from different energy beasts, who differ in strength, skill stone can have the same or lower color skill than the beast. They go from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple, black, white. Skills taught by someone of master rank or above are called legacy skills. Those who can teach these types of skills are the ones that at least have reached master level of their origin skill. They can also lend someone their skill for a fixed time, and that type of skill sharing is called loan skills. One must practice the legacy skill to increase the proficiency and understanding to master it. Skill weaving is a very rare, blue, skill that can only be found by killing a strong energy beast. Because of their mastery of magic, they are the only ones to produce them in their subconscious when killed. There is also my origin skill. I learned from a new book my mom gifted, that the origin skill itself goes through a unique evolution in various unknown situations. Not only that, but it also combines the existing skill in itself to evolve the branched origin skills. So if I get a skill related to eyes, Mystic Eyes will add its function as its own. After my awakening, the first time I told my parents that I had an origin skill, they were first shocked, then they got happy, then they suddenly got worried. The speed their expression changed was kind of funny, but then I was worried for them. Calming down my dad was not easy at that time. Okay then, let's get started. Startling me out of my thoughts was the voice of my mom, who seemed really happy. Honey? Why are you so excited? Dad could not hold back and asked, as he too was confused about this whole thing. Mom? I asked with a worried expression. I don't know why, but I had this bad feeling about this whole thing. Well, nothing much. Your mana will deplete after the testing, and I will be able to treat you very carefully. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Dad was the same as me, as he too remembered. That's why she was happy. To check the elemental affinity, one has to put a large amount of mana in this crystal ball. One may suffer mana depletion if the required amount is large, but it isn't dangerous. Considering that she likes to take care of him when he is not moving, it can be explained. I wanted to say sorry to her, but I stopped myself. Mom's dreams won't come true. My recovery rate is quite fast because of my energy circulation skill. I can very well recover in half a day if it's as much as 1/3 of my mana. I gave her a sorry look and turned towards Dad and said, So, let's start. Mom and Dad had confused looks as they looked at me. Okay. Come here and put your palm on this crystal ball. Does not he care about that? Well, he could be thinking of giving up, as we both can't win against her anyway. I walked forward to the large crystal ball, a transparent orb that felt somewhat weird. I stood in front of it and put my palm on its surface. As soon as I did that, a large amount of mana was sucked out of my mana nucleus, and I felt my palm heating up. It's not that much. Took much less than I thought. Nice. I rejoiced as I looked at the orb to see what special magic I can do. In ancient times, when humankind didn't know much about magic and mana, the first war between demons and humans was fought. Being masters of demonic magic, they made an unfathomable bloodbath. Not knowing much about the magic, humanity was on the verge of destruction. When all hopes were collapsing, a gigantic figure descended on the middle of the battlefield, a mountain shining with different colors. With every color you can think of on his ethereal body. A huge frame was as big as a mountain, with a large pair of wings on his back. It spoke in an angry voice, crushing the small ones only with his voice. Pathetic worms. This great and mighty dragon do not give a damn about the likes of you, but the balance of the world will be at risk. Watching a one-sided slaughter is no fun at all. It was a dragon, a being of nature and ruler of magic. Member of a selfish race who only desire amusement and looked down upon even their own kind. He said with a roaring voice, Those who wish to die for the sake of others, come forward. Choosing the individuals with the greatest potential among mankind, the dragon gave them the knowledge required to protect themselves. They were the first ones to ever practice magic among mankind. People called them First Ones, but one person strangely stood out of them. Higher beings first liked him as an amusing one. He was powerful, but he mastered nothing. In the truest sense, Jack of all trades and master of none depicted him. He couldn't do so because of the many choices in presented front of him. At the end, he became a fool who could have done greatest deeds, but ended up with nothing of sort. And one of the reasons for that being, in front of me, in a quiet room, I was standing in front of a large crystal orb that was shining with 6 bright colors. The whole room was silent, with only the buzzing electrical sound from the orb ringing from time to time. Should I cry or laugh? I asked myself as I looked at the colors in the orb. A bright red like fire, a light blue like an ocean, a earthly brown, a fresh green like morning wind, a divine yellow and a lonely black. All of them shining with great intensity. I was a hexa elemental mage. someone who cannot master one particular type of element. It's not that I won't able to do it, but I can't do it. All of the people throughout history with all 6 elemental affinities either became a hero or gave up on magic entirety. And the reason for that is, if not balanced properly, only death awaits me. The opposite properties of elements are the reason that fire is weak against water and water is weak against earth. If any of them grows too much or declines compared to its opposite one, then the unbalance could lead to a core destruction, which means certain death. But then, no, wait. Yes, that's it. Dad suddenly shouted and a bright expression appeared on his face. He ran towards me and hugged me joyfully. Startled, I looked at him with confused eyes. Mom was the same as me, as she too looked very confused. Just a moment ago, she looked like she was going to shout in fear. The look in her eyes was as though she had seen myself dying. But Dad's behavior confused her. Don't worry, Nolan. Ian will be all right. He assured her with a confident look and pulled Mom by her hand. The surprise was visible on her face by these actions. What the hell are you saying? She shouted and pulled herself back, enraged by his actions. This was probably the first time I had seen her angry. Ian, sit here for a moment. Honey, calm down first. Take a deep breath and sit down for a moment. He held Mom and tried to calm her down. Mom retorted, refusing to listen. Took a long time to calm her down. After who knows how much time, Mom calmed down a bit. Taking a deep breath, she looked at Dad and demanded an explanation. You better explain thoroughly or else. I was shocked and speechless. The pressure I was currently feeling was beyond anything I had ever felt. But it was only for a moment, as she regained herself after looking at the pale me. I again reminded myself to not go on her bad side. Never. Dad looked at me after he was finished with Mom. Ian will be able to maintain the balance of all 6 elements normally, all by himself and without doing anything. A bewildered expression appeared on Mom and my face. He saw this and started the explanation. First of all, look back at the crystal orb. It is intact and fine, which is quite weird, as it should have shattered into particles if there was a disturbance or unbalance in elemental properties. But it did not. That only means that every one of them is in perfect harmony. And the reason behind that should be energy circulation, Ian's one and only innate skill. This type of case had occurred in history a few times. Individuals with polar opposite elemental affinities have lived longer than most people thanks to their some type of innate skill. They are mostly called irregulars. I was already surprised and confused when I first saw the perfectly balanced 6 elementals, which looked stunning at first glance. After a very thorough explanation, Dad breathed out a small sigh. Looking at my mom, who looked calm after he finished speaking, he held her hand. Don't worry. Instead, let's celebrate. It's a good thing, you know. More reason for him to learn magic. She looked at him with a bit shacking eyes. There was fear. Why, you sure about that? She asked in a shaky voice. Looking at me for a moment, she closed her eyes. I won't let him get even a scratch. I swear. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at him. Slowly moving her head forward, she kissed his hand which was holding hers. Nodding, she replied with a small but still worried smile on her beautiful face. Okowo. That short answer was enough for Dad as he looked at me. All this time they hadn't said anything to me. Sitting on the chair, I was just looking at them. It was like a TV drama, so it was quite fun to watch. Ian, I will ask you this only once. Do you really want to learn magic even after knowing that your mom will be worried for you forever? For the first time, Dad warned me about something. Knowing this will be a big decision and possibly the biggest one in my life, I wanted to think but instead answered instantly. Yes, I want to do it. Or more like, I have to. He was stunned by my answer. Mom, on the other hand, was surprised and shocked. His eyes have a certainty that shouldn't be possible for just a 5-year-old. No, it's more than that. It's like he doesn't want something to repeat. How can my little baby be so much special? She thought deeply and asked him a question. Ian, Why do you want that? Not only magic but also archery. Why are you so fixated on learning that? You can have a totally free life without doing anything. Why? Just why do you want to struggle so much? She was dead serious. The look in her eyes was not only that of a mother but also a guardian who want to protect something. Honey? You can't ask him something so dash. Dad tried to talk to Mom, but I instantly cut him off and said the one thing I had longed to say. I want to protect you from anything. When I get hurt, you take care of me, but I even can't see you getting hurt. So I want to get stronger. These words came from the bottom of my heart. The weight of the words that I spoke was visible in my eyes. It wasn't some kid speaking to them, but someone who has lived possibly more than them. Both of them were stunned and speechless. Just from the heaviness of the words, they could feel the high level of determination. How can a child? No, he isn't any ordinary kid, but he is my son, and I am proud of that, he thought as he looked at his son. Mom took a deep breath and returned to her normal self. Smiling at me, she said in her cheerful self, "Oh, my baby will protect Mom and Dad. How thoughtful. Indeed, my baby is special." Dad, on the other hand, fell deep in thought. Not saying anything, he was lost in his own thoughts. "Honey, let's celebrate as you said." She slapped his back to call him back to reality. "Ouch! Why'd you do that?" Back to reality, he screamed and looked at her, rubbing his back. Then, calming himself and recalling what had happened, he shook his head and said happily, "Yes, okay, let's celebrate. I will make the ice cream too, so just wait here." Saying that, he took off to the kitchen. "So Ian, how about we play together until your dad is finished?" I understood that they had put the whole matter to a side, so I also did the same. Walking out with Mom, we climbed the stairs. "Did he fall asleep already?" I asked in an exhausted voice. She looked at me with pity in her eyes. "Yes. He must be exhausted from the unexpected mana drain," she replied, looking at Ian, who was sleeping in his bed, like a baby. "Okay then, let's go too." I opened the door. We got out and I closed the door behind me. She looked at me and said in a quiet voice, "Get it ready," she requested and walked forward. It must be quite hard for her too, I thought, and replied with a small sigh. "Yes." In a quite large bedroom, a transparent crystal ball the size of an average human head was placed in the middle of the room. Sitting on a chair before it was a beautiful young woman with long blonde hair and light brown eyes. Facing her on the opposite side of the table stood a handsome man with sparkling red eyes and shoulder-long black hair. "Are you ready?" I asked with a nervous look in my eyes. "Yes, please connect it," she replied with a calm and confident look on her face. I nodded and channeled some mana into the communication device. A small spark appeared in the transparent crystal. After a short while, the shadow of a person slowly appeared in it. The shadow slowly turned into an image of a muscular and tall middle-aged man, with a long beard and short hair just like her. His blue eyes were as beautiful as the sky. "Father," she called with a warm smile. She had a unique yearning look in her eyes. "How have you been, Null?" A deep but warm voice came from the crystal ball. "I missed you a lot," she said with a low, cracking voice. "You should have gotten my letters, though." He chuckled, stroking his beard. He had also missed her. "This is different," she replied, shaking her head. "Okay then, if my sweet young lady says so. More than that, what is it? Who was that troubled you?" The first warm voice turned cold in an instant, as if he knew that something troubled his daughter, just from the way she talked. "Brian, what did you do, huh?" he asked, turning his head to look in my direction. I instantly flinched and reflexively responded, "Nothing, sir. I can't even think of troubling her." A true respectful response escaped my mouth. It was always like this in front of him. He was a person you couldn't help but admire. "Father, it's about Ian," she answered in a serious tone. Right now, only he could trouble her. As if understanding the situation, he nodded and a big smile appeared on his face. I knew that was the case. If there is anything that worries my icy princess, it would be my extraordinary grandson. So what is it this time? He sounded very happy, as if a proud father admires his son for something great. He awakened a week ago, she said in a worried tone. He what? I think I heard something wrong. Say that again, please. A confused expression appeared on his face. This was an ideal reaction for someone who has heard something unreal. Yes, you heard that right. And awakened last week, she confirmed with a worried and serious tone. Oh my God, he really is something else. If so, he must have an auxiliary skill. No, more than that. Is he hurt or something? Knowing you very well, I don't think that's the reason you called me. He is as sharp and cool-headed as ever. I knew my father-in-law, or more like Sir Zahavi, very well. Having fought in many battles, he was one of the most rational people in the whole empire. We did the affinity test today. He is a hexa elemental, having an affinity for all 6 elemental natural elements. She explained with a grim expression. Her beautiful face was looking disturbed for that very reason. Holy sh! Even a person like him was surprised by this whole ordeal. Even someone like him, who had seen many unexplainable things, was a bit surprised by all of this. So you are worried about him for that? I understand this whole situation now. So what did you do? He asked after thinking everything through. It was quite fast, considering the amount and level of information. His question, however, was a serious one. He asked her as not a father but a parent of a child. He was asking what she did as his mother. She replied instantly, already expecting this question. I asked why he wanted to practice magic. As you already know that he practiced archery, you might have thought that he wants to become a magic archer. Though unreasonable to ask a child, the reason he wanted to grow strong, he didn't hesitate to answer. She said with a worried smile on her face. And? What did he say? Anticipation was clearly visible in his eyes. His voice, however, had a proud tone. She lowered her head, in a quiet voice and watery eyes as she replied. He said he wants to protect us. With an unnaturally serious tone, she answered. Though worried, she had a proud smile on her face. She was proud as a guardian and worried as a helpless mother. This was the reason she reached out to her father directly. Excellent. I was only amazed at first, but now I am proud. Not only of him but also you too. So, Nal, what will you do now? Will you allow him to do what he wants, or will you cling to a tiny possibility of him getting hurt? He first praised us and then asked a serious question to her again. This time he was asking her as a mother and not a guardian. She had to make a decision. It will not only decide his future but also theirs. I am worried. She looked down and said in a creaking voice. Look, Nal, I understand that you are worried. But individuals such as him are called irregulars for a reason. They are different in most common aspects. Brian must have told you about that, but believe me, if there was any chance of something happening, it should have happened by now. He told the truth. I wasn't able to. It was true that symptoms of abnormalities start to surface just after the awakening, in situations like these. He was a father who was just as worried as her, but he knew that stopping a child from doing what they want to do isn't most appropriate. That was the reason that he was able to put reality and facts before his petty feelings. I understood his reasoning, so I added along with him. Nolan, I know that you are worried, but so am I. That doesn't mean that we should stop him from doing what he loves. Brian is right, Nal. You will only restrain him if you stop him. You already know I never did something like that, so I believe that you will not do so too. We both looked at her. She was quietly thinking for a while and then nodded, smiling bitterly. Clenching onto her dress, she replied, Yes, you are right. What was I even thinking when it was so obvious? Thanks, Dad. You too, Brian. I'm so dumb. It's good you understand. Mothers did that type of thing a lot. Your mom was like this sometimes too, when the two of you were a child. She then breathed a sigh of relief. She had made her decision. Okay then, now that everything is solved, I should ask this. Dad, why don't you talk with Ian sometime? she asked with a very confused expression. Never once did they had talked about themselves or the family background of their child. And the reason partly was her father. He wanted to keep it a secret from him. It wasn't necessary for him to know, nor did he ever ask them about it, which was strange, very strange for a child. It's not like I don't want to meet him. I just want to see him from up close. Keeping it a secret is more fun in itself. Just do it for now. But the question is, when are you coming back? We are dying to see you all again. His voice was very sad. The longing to see them was also very deep in his sky-blue eyes. Soon, Dad. Just endure it one more year. I am dying to meet you too. To introduce Ian to his awesome grandfather and everyone else. Holding back her tears, she said with an angry voice. There was something very small thing holding her back. Something that pushed her to the edge of the empire. Anger surged from the depths of my heart. Those people will definitely pay for all of this. When we get back, I will make sure to send them out of the empire. If not, the continent. Okay then. Take care. Brian, take good care of her. Yes, sir. Don't worry one bit. You take care too, Dad. Say hello and sorry to Mom and brother. And thank you for today. That's what parents do. Take care. Saying his goodbyes, he hung up with a smile. We talked for a bit about how to do everything from now, and also went to sleep. I should tell him it in the morning. He will be happy to hear that, right? Should I tease him a bit? Well, we will see that tomorrow. For now. Looking at me, she stretched out both her hands towards me. Come here, my dear husband, she ordered with a mischievous smile on her face. Oh God! I had a bad feeling about this. So, Mom? What did you want to talk about? I asked with a confused look. Just yesterday, she didn't want to talk about anything related to magic, so I didn't try either. What changed her stubborn mind in one night? It's about you and learning magic. I really don't want you to be in any type of danger. So I have decided. She looked very serious and disheartened about that. Oh, so that was it. Mom can't allow me, so she asked me out personally. I had somewhat expected it, but I don't feel right about it. I knew that magic will be a great asset in the future, but if she won't give permission, then I can only practice my archery for the time being. Well, can't blame her for that. Taking a deep breath, I replied in a sad voice. It's okay, Mom. If you think that way, then it can't be helped. Though disappointed, I wasn't that worried about it. I can make do with archery and my origin skill. It's good that you understand. I'm sorry, really? She apologized, in a sad voice, but I didn't look at her face as I was looking down in disappointment. I should have seen it beforehand, but I only noticed it after her next words. Okay. You can go now. Dad is waiting for you. He is very excited to teach magic after such a long time, she said, still maintaining her worried and sorrowful tone. Yes, I should go. Dad is waiting. Dad is waiting for what? Confused, I looked up and then saw her face, a face holding itself from laughing with extreme difficulty. As I looked up at her, she looked in my eyes. Hee. Like a dam has opened, she burst out laughing. I suddenly had a thought while looking at her. She was messing with me? So normally and with that much realistic voice? Damn, she is scary. But what did she say at last? Looking at her, I waited for her to stop her best laughter of the year. After a solid minute of laughing, she somewhat slowed down. Looking at my face, which was a mix of confusion and anger, she laughed again. Now that was enough. Was it that funny to tease a 5-year-old child? Looking at her, I angrily shouted, Mom, just answer me and then continue, please. Hearing my angry voice, which was cuter for her than before, she slowed down a bit. Looking at me with a sorry expression, she repeated once again, Dad is waiting to teach you. I'm sorry that I stopped you before. I know you somehow understand my reason. Even so, I am worried. Now, you can do whatever is right as long as it is not dangerous. I won't do something like that again. With a bitter smile on her face, she was still worried, but now, There was happiness in her eyes.
No, ma'am.
I should say thank you for letting me practice something dangerous like magic. Thanks, Mom. You are the best. Hugging her, I replied with a bright smile on my face. After kissing her, I ran out of the room, not waiting even a minute. Left in the room alone, she caressed her right cheek and mumbled to herself, "I am the best." Her face was as red as a rose right now. She looked cuter than ever. In the library with 3 large bookshelves, I sat on the chair opposite a large blackboard. There was a large magic tome on the table in front of my dad right now. A confused look appeared on my face. There weren't any books like this in the library before. For one to use magic, the fundamental knowledge of magic and magic circle is very important. Without the theoretical knowledge, one could very well fail to cast the most basic spells. He was a totally different person while speaking right now. As if he had done this before, his attention and way of speaking were as good as a university professor's. First of all, mana is one of the building blocks of the world. Being the most used source of energy and most abundant in this world, mana particles, which make the mana in the environment, divided into 6 types. Elemental mana, which come from the elemental mana particles, have 6 main forms: fire, water, earth, wind, darkness, and light. The 6 main types of mana are used in different ways. But the person who can use them is very much more than that. Having a natural affinity with these elements is most important. We can use the mana particles. For the type we don't have a natural affinity, but using it in actual spellcasting would be very difficult. Dad explained and I took mental note of everything. It was easy as I already knew some basic information, but some points were totally new to me. I had a sudden question, so I raised my hand. He nodded and I asked, standing up from my seat, "Dad, then what type of natural affinities do you have?" I was very curious about it for a long time. My dad was a Tier 6 mage, which is considered a mid-level mage. From Tier 0 to Tier 2 is a beginner-level novice magician. From Tier 3 and Tier 4 is an apprentice-level magician. Those who can reach up to Tier 6 are intermediate-level mages. He is very talented to have reached that level at such a young age. I think he is in his late 20s or early 30s, so that means he has a great future as a magician. He could become a high-level mage in the future. The high-level magicians are the people that mostly teach in the Imperial University or hold a high position in a kingdom. They are Tier 7 and Tier 8 high mages. There are very few people who have reached Tier 9, and they are called elders. Tier 10 mage is considered an archmage. They are inhumane people who have transcended human bounds and can go against beings with unnatural strength. There are Tier 11 and Tier 12, but those are only legends. If you are curious about me, I am a tri-elemental mage with an affinity for fire, water, and wind. They are a balanced attribute trio, so I can use them freely. He answered with an embarrassed look. It wasn't normal either. Being a tri-elemental mage is also rare. As for Ian, who can use all 6 of them freely, it will be more difficult than you think. To increase the core level, the required amount of magic power will be enormous and the progress might be very slow. But you will have an advantage unlike any other human in any fight, as you can use the opposite type of attack against your opponent in the future. He happily complimented me and started talking about other things. So Ian, we will first learn all the basic information first. You can read this book if you want. It's a list of Tier 0 spells. I don't think you will understand it much, as it's not in the Imperial language. It's a bit different from the common language. You can try it anyways. The official books and tomes are only available in the capital city, so I can't get them right now. We have to make do with this one. I will teach you the language along with magic, so it will be easy for you to understand. He explained as he looked at the new-looking book with a thick green cover. If it's about learning a language similar to the one I already know, then I thought for a moment and unconsciously said out loud, 3 days should be enough. That should be enough time to learn that language. I think that will be more than enough. I can just see through the book to understand the contents, and then it should be okay to say that I had grasped the language, right? Did you say something? Dad asked as he heard me saying that. No, nothing. You can continue, please. Shaking my head, I started paying attention again. So, to cast magic after the source such as mana, the magic circle, words, visual image, or such are ways to cast the magic. For any kind of energy, to gain a form through different means is magic in nutshell. If you use any other type of energy to perform magic, like spirit energy, to summon an elemental spirit or internal energy in different martial arts, the result may be different, but the principle of energy transformation is the same. We use energy, give it a shape, and express the desired results. Magic is nothing but giving a shape to the known world, or changing it, or destroying it. So just understand one thing when you use the thing called magic. Bending the shape of reality is magic. The potential of humans may be limited, but the limits of magic are truly endless. He explained, each of his words containing wisdom and brightness. Bending the reality. For me, these words contained different meanings and different ideas. I deeply thought about that as I listened to him further. Here, we changed the still air and summon a ball of fire. There was nothing here, but then the fire burned out of nowhere. I don't think that everyone knows about the hydrogen and oxygen creating fire, but I sure can use the knowledge from my previous world in magic. The reality which everyone knows is normal for them, but for me, it's like a totally new thing from what I previously knew. It is going to be so much fun. Magic was amazing, but there was one thing that I had to keep in mind. I will become a magic archer. Magic is only one part of it. So, I should talk to Dad and ask him to set a schedule. Everything that Dad was saying was kind of being recorded in my mind. It was really amazing to have this sharp brain. Well, it could be due to my skill, but well, I don't have to think much about my skills right now. I will be experimenting with them soon anyways. So, you mastered that language? Did you learn a new language in 3 days? And I have no choice but to believe that. Dad looked at me with bewildered eyes. He couldn't clearly say what he wanted. He was shocked, but after some time he calmed down and believed me. Oh well, I would be the same as him if some normal kid told me that. It's a good thing that he knows that I am a bit special. The speed he recovered was fast, considering the arrow piercing him was a bit sharp this time. He looked at me and asked with a serious tone. Okay. So you want to know how the spell Enhanced Speed works, right? His voice had a doubt in them. He was thinking that I would be easily able to understand the mechanics of the spell. But I shook my head and replied with a serious tone. I know how it works, but why can't I use it? I slowly asked with a disappointed look. I was trying to use the enhancement magic of the lowest mana consumption but can't use any of them. That's why I asked Dad to enlighten me about my flows. You can't use them. Wait, that means you learned the spell already? The most basic of the Tier 0 spell is made of 3 or 4 lines and at least 1 circle in theoretical value. To understand the mana distribution and the theory of enhancement for the ground spell of Enhancement series, one has to at least study it for a month. He is as good in magic as he is at other things. He may already surpass me in near future. I know that he won't say it, but I'm sure that he must have learned other, similar ones too. A genius! He mumbled in a very quiet voice, but I barely heard it. In the response to that, a helpless sigh escaped my mouth. I guess I could be called a genius from the point of view of this world. As the concept wasn't that difficult and I already had some idea about the enhancement spells, I was able to understand the whole series. Enhancement, being the main series in magic, has vast variety and range. The essence of it is to strengthen the existing state of something. To understand anything means to grasp the very thing from the core, from the output of mana to its structure in the spell. I understand things very quickly. It could be considered one of my traits, so it's easy for me. I am just lucky to have my one and only skill, energy circulation. I was able to conclude many things from my experiments these past few days. Not only it's a passive skill that is activated all the time after awakening, but it also increases brain activity, accelerates mana gathering, and increases the natural healing ability. It's definitely a broken skill. And I don't know why, but sometimes my origin skill resonates with it. It really feels weird when that happens. It's a tingling feeling, so I just avoid it. Looking back at my father, I asked once again, "So, why can't I use any magic?" It was very strange. I was confident that I had done everything right. It was like something just canceling the spell on its activations. "Well, you see, Ian, there is a barrier around the house that cancel any unauthorized use of magic or skill," he replied with a helpless tone. A faint trace of anger was visible in his eyes. I noticed that and understood that it was definitely related to Mom. But there was a question that suddenly came to my mind. A barrier? Then why can Dad use magic and I can use my skills? A really unexpected reply from me stunned him. Did he understand the situation? Wow, just how smart is he? He thought for a moment before answering. One has to first register the mana signature in the magic system to get permission. As for your skills, one is an origin skill, so it can't be blocked by this small barrier. And the other one is just an auxiliary skill, which isn't attacking or defense type, so it can be used. He carefully explained. He was still a little shocked to not get any normal childlike reaction from me. So it's like that. No wonder I felt so weird when using magic. Nodding my head, I understood the situation completely. From this, I could say that Mom isn't in that big of danger or something like that. Most likely she is in hiding or something. If the situation was to be something more dangerous or concerning, Dad would have put more effort into his work. So, Dad, when will I get to use magic? I have to sign my mana signature with the core, or something like that, right? I asked with a calm voice and looked at him with shining eyes. But his expression saddened as he looked back at me. "Sorry, Ian. You will have to wait for a month at the very least. I will have to make some preparations for it to register another person's signature." My heart sank at those words. It was much longer than I expected. A sigh escaped my mouth in my head. I think I will have to make do with what I have. I should use that time to increase my physical state. I should also try making an enchanted arrow in the meantime. I thought it through and comforted Dad, who was clenching his fists. "Dad, it's okay. I can do other things in the meantime." Hugging him for a moment, and I started reading the magic tome after he left the room. He was disappointed in himself as he exited the room. I could feel it. Brian, what happened? Why do you look so down?" I asked him confusingly as he was sitting on the stairs with his head down. Did something happen? It looks like he did something wrong. I thought about the reason as I also sat beside him. "He learned a language in 3 days," he quietly said as if to tell himself. I understood what he was talking about. There has something unexpected happened in my sweet house. Again. Isn't he amazing? Just having him as my baby is the best thing ever. But why are you so sad? Maybe we were the luckiest ones to have such an extraordinary son. He is very amazing. He should be happy about that. He learned spells that would take someone a month at the very least. He wants to use that, but he can't because of the barrier. Now I can't do anything about it since I'm not good enough. He explained with a grim expression as he smiled bitterly. That's how it has always been for me. I know how he was feeling right now. Helpless. Feeling of not being good enough. Feeling of not being able to do things that you want but the limits are suppressing you. But I know that feeling very well, Brian, and I think he does too. He is like someone who has lived through this helplessness and understands us too well. And you know this too, don't you? He hasn't complained or demanded anything like other normal kids. I hope he did, but that's how it has always been. I was the most helpless person in this house. Even if I wanted to, I can't do anything for him right now. But remember this, Brian. We are his parents, and that fact can't change. Even if lacking, we have to do our best. For him. I could not be the best mom out there, but I was the best for him, at least. I understand. Thanks, Nolan. He was looking a bit good now. That was enough. So, this should be enough to cheer you up. Kissing him on the neck, I stood up and left. Sitting there alone, he was petrified after that sudden soft touch. There were a total of 36, Tier 0, spells in the book. Some of them were useful while some were not that interesting. Heat, water, small wind were some of the spells that were a bit useful. Mainly in the Tier 0 section, spells with only basic mana control were counted. To first improve the efficiency to control mana, the Tier 0 spells are like practice papers. Well, it is not that interesting. I might as well go and ask Dad for the materials to make the magic arrows. I stood up and left the library. As soon as I started climbing the stairs, I saw Dad on the top, with a surprised expression. Not minding him, I passed by him and entered my room. Mom must have done something again. This type of situation were rare but common when Mom played pranks. I sometimes don't understand why would he act like that. I don't know how it is to be in love, but this might be normal, maybe? A person who had lived in solitude for almost 40 years like me, well, I don't even want to think about those days. I entered my room and tried to not think about the past. Sitting down on a chair beside my bed, I took out a pointed wooden arrow from under my bed. A smooth, straight body and the fins at the end of it, and sharply pointed arrowhead. I could make the enchanted arrows with something like this, but to do that, I need some things to engrave a magic circle on it. Though I can't use spells in-house, the magic circle engraving and the enchanting process will be more interesting than the Tier 0 spells. It was interesting because I can even put something like a Tier 1 spell on it with my current limits. But learning it for the first time will be a bit difficult for sure. Enchantment was special and the process was still a bit unknown to me, so I was nervous. But, well, at the end of the day, it will be fun, I thought, and put the arrow back. In a dark underground drainage area from where the waste of the whole town passes through, a person was passing by the walkable side with a little fireball in his hand. With bright red eyes shining in the small light of the flames, the figure walked through with a confident look. Hearing a weird sound coming from the distance, he stopped and looked forward to where the sound come from. A large figure was running towards him hastily. Its shadow was large at first, but it was getting smaller with his every step. At last, after a few seconds, it was visible. With its blood-red eyes and sharp teeth, it glared at me with fear. I knew I would find some here. I shouted happily and glared back at it. Appraisal. I used my skill on the creature to confirm it again. Race, dark poison rat.
STR 32.
Dexterity, 30. Stamina, 25. Magic power, 15. Intelligence, 3. Skills, poison splash, poison bite, smash.
Okay.
So it does have poison. Ayude. Bye-bye. I snapped my fingers and waved my hand. A gust of wind cut through its stomach. The large rat was cut in half. With a pained cry, it dropped dead on the watery floor. I sat down and moved its dead body. Extracting the poison from these creatures was a troublesome task without a skill. But I finished it quickly as I was experienced in these things. Filling a small vial, I started walking forward. I must collect as much of the ingredients as possible. If Ian wants to do this, then I have to help him as much as I can. Enchanting was a difficult task for the beginners. It is more of experimentation than learning. He has to find the balance through trial and error. So, he will need many materials of good quality for the starting process. Rather than buying them, personally collecting them is way better. And what better place to find poisonous creatures than in the sewers? Sometimes, the creatures in the underground sewers get corrupted by dark energy. Although the exits are sealed, entering is quite easy for someone like me. There is also a possibility that some dangerous creature might appear here, so a regular checkup is needed. I can possibly find some good ingredients if I am lucky today, I thought with a greedy smile on my face. There were many things to hunt here, but they were mostly weak monsters that can't handle a mage. Walking forward, I found my second prey, which was the same as the last one. There were many of these small flies running around down here. I want something more fun. It's been a long time since I last got out for hunting. After getting out of here, I should go to the nearby forest to find something more fun. Oh, I have to gather some herbs anyway. I walked forward and it was then that I heard something different. A clank. A clank. A sound of metal clashing with the floor was heard from the distance. This was something different. Something more fun than those puny rats. Aqua Curtain. A Tier 3. Spell to blend the body with the environment, erasing the scent and presence completely. It's more fun to play with the target than to outright kill it when you know that it's as easy as eating. Licking my lips and quietly waited for it to approach. After some time, a large figure was visible in the distance. With a long body and large metal-like claws, it somewhat seemed more intelligent than the other useless flies. It's a good finding. It looks to be an orange rank. Let's see. Licking my lips, I activated my skill. Appraisal. Race Giant Mana Lizard. Strength 54. Dexterity 44. Stamina 33. Magic Power 51. Intelligence 21. Skills. Mana Claw, Poison Bite, Heavy Slam. Haha, it really is an orange rank. It seems I'm a bit lucky today. I laughed silently so that it couldn't perceive my presence. The ranks are decided by the amount of MP possessed by the monster. It starts with red at 25 MP and increases at every 25 MP intervals. So the purple rank beasts mostly have 175 MP. And as for the other ones with black rank, they are demons, and the white rank energy beasts are called divine beasts. Being the eternal enemies of other races, demonic race is one of the largest and most powerful foes. And of them, the entitled demons are the most powerful ones. Divine beasts are legendary creatures that have appeared in many historical legends and myths. They are definitely real, as there is clear proof of their existence. They are noble beings of nature with immense knowledge and great power. Some of them appear around the world in certain cases. We were lucky to see one at that time. I remembered with longing in my eyes for a moment and then looked at the competitively weak creature before me. Slowly gathering water-type mana in one hand, I raised my hand and pointed it towards the lizard. A transparent, two-fold magic circle appeared in my hands, containing 2 circles and a water-like pattern with 9 lines. Aqua Blade. A Tier 3. Attack-type spell that contains compressed water in the shape of a crescent blade. The creature noticed it and screamed. Raising its large tail, it slammed it to the ground. As soon as the spell was released from my hands, the lizard bounced backward. Frantically looking around, it somewhat guessed the location of the caster. Not bad for a fat lizard like you. I praised it and changed my location stealthily. Looking back at it, I just stood there to observe it. Jumping with the support of its back legs and tail, a blue glow appeared on its sharp claws. It was the skill Mana Claws. Crashing on the wall where it thought out the caster was, a small shockwave passed through the area. Whoa! Good one! I shouted to provoke it. I knew that it was a bit smart than those rats, but in the end it was just a fat lizard. Hearing a sound for the first time, it turned towards the source of the voice. Showing its teeth with a green fluid flowing out, it ran toward it. It was going to use its poison this time. But before it could reach its destination, a large spick of ice suddenly rose from the ground, piercing a large hole in it. Ice Lance. A Tier 4. Spell of Ice Attribute. A branch attribute of water. Blood spilled on the ground. Green blood which looked like thin swamp water gushed out of the large hole in its stomach. Ignoring the blood, I reached the lizard. There was a chance to find a mana core or skill stone in the ranked beasts. Cutting through its whole body with Mana Blade, a Tier 1 spell, I searched its inside. This squishy feeling was disgusting every time, without a doubt. Nothing. Well, better luck next time. It was very difficult to find either one of them without a stroke of good luck. The luck stat was one of the most difficult ones to increase because it just increases on its own. There wasn't much known about luck as it was an innate stat. There were some rare artifacts that could increase it for a little while, but to increase it permanently is impossible by external means. Luck is innate and I have a good 63, even though it is not that good when it comes to finding a core or skill stone. Storing the corpse of the lizard in item box, I started going back. This was good enough for quite a while. Extracting the venom of the lizard will fetch a good amount. Now it was my turn to find some good herbs. I walked out and killed the small rats which appeared along the way. While Dad was out to get the things I asked for, I was standing outside in the backyard with a bow in my hand. Taking out an arrow, I wrapped black cloth around my eyes. Taking a few steps back, I released a long breath. Feeling the subtle air current, surroundings, and the small environmental changes, I was able to feel the small moments in the surrounding. Ready? Mom asked from quite a distance away. There was a green button in her hand. I gave her the signal with a small nod. Pressing on the button, a green light appeared on the box-shaped object and 3 targets started rotating in different directions without a sound after that. Feeling the subtle air change, I figured out a rough location of them. All the sensory training I did was not in vain. I was able to improve my physical senses to a good high level. After training for the last few days, I was now confident that I can do it this time. Arranging an arrow in the bow, I starched the bowstring. Taking the stance, I heightened my senses to the maximum. The world seemed to disappear slowly. Only the small sound of a target cutting the air was visible. The outline of the target was roughly appearing in my mind. Releasing the arrow, anticipating a positive result, I removed the black cloth and looked at the target. But the arrow was not visible on any of them. Ian. Mom looked at me with an apologetic expression on her face. I can't do everything perfectly. Well, I just have to try until I can. Mom, let's try it again. I shouted with a bright smile on my face. She understood it and happily nodded. Yes, this is how he is. My little baby who doesn't give up. Thinking that we started training again.